Time 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 degrees out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the Jamaican economy has rebounded following 2 consecutive quarters of decline.
You will see a distinct V-shaped recovery following the devastation of Hurricane Beryl and the follow-on negative impact of Tropical Storm Rafael.
The ECJ is now in possession of the documents relevant to making Portmore the 15th parish.
PMP's Dr. Alfred Dawes is claiming there's a mold crisis at the Kingston Public Hospital.
We cannot pretend as if it is business as usual. We have to take decisive actions now.
Indicom says more than 80 Jamaicans have been killed by the security forces since the start of the year.
Mother of 6-year-old who was allegedly sexually assaulted by an 11-year-old says the school failed her child.
In news from the rest of the world, Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Stuart Young says his 41 candidates are ready for nomination day.
The U.S. stock market has closed after a day of uncertainty amid threats of new Trump tariffs.
In headline sports, Bravo reacts to Powell's dismissal.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, there is a call for increased education funding to address the global teacher shortage. We'll bring you more.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, are financial institutions doing enough to protect customers from online fraud? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
We'll also hear from the country's Finance Minister, Favour Williams, in the nation's business at 6:40. Our new podcast, Conversations with Movers and Shakers. Our first guest is the chairman of Fontana, Kevin O'Brien Chang.
At 8, it's Prescription for Life with Dr. Andre McDonald.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, it's Tuesday, April 1, 2025.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The Finance Minister, Favour Williams, says the country is now experiencing a V-shaped recovery following the impact of Hurricane Beryl. The minister provided the update in the House of Representatives today.
While the GDP growth figure for the December quarter is negative 0.8%, it is significantly better than the estimate PIOJ thought that we would have experienced, which is negative 1.8%. PIOJ has indicated that the areas of variation were primarily in wholesale/retail and tourism. This means those sectors did better than anticipated. You will see a distinct V-shaped recovery following the devastation of Hurricane Beryl in the third quarter of 2024 and the follow-on negative impact of Tropical Storm Rafael in the fourth quarter of the calendar year 2024.
In a V-shaped recovery, an economy that has suffered a sharp economic decline experiences a fast and strong rebound. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin announced the results for the final quarter of 2024 on Monday. They showed that the country's economy contracted for the second quarter in a row. The minister says preliminary information from the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ, suggests there was economic growth in the first quarter of this year of between 0.1% and 1%. Minister Williams says there are already indicators of this trend based on the seasonally adjusted GDP growth figures for the fourth quarter of 2024.
See a chart that shows the recovery in mining and quarrying from a deep decline of negative 17.4% in the third quarter and the significant improvement since then. Likewise, Madam Speaker, in the hotels and restaurant sector, the recovery is quite evident there as well, moving from the negative 4.9 to a significantly smaller negative of 0.3%. As a government, we remain committed to our growth agenda, which we know is sometimes disrupted, and that is why our efforts to build buffers to help protect this nation and our budgets are so incredibly important to maintain.
Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
Meanwhile, while welcoming the projected recovery of the economy, opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson says the decline emphasizes the importance of boosting the country's economy growth.
Your own chart, the one before, you would notice that we have had a pretty steep decline from 2020 in the growth rate. While positive, there's been a deceleration all the way up to just before Hurricane Beryl hit us. Really, it underscores the need to accelerate the growth-inducing strategies to ensure we can spend the capital budget in a timely manner, which we haven't done for the last 3 years, and to ensure that the other measures to release capital to the MSME sector, etc., are done so that these numbers can improve. Because notwithstanding the shock, the first chart shows a steady decline over the last 3 years, which would have put us in negative growth with or without Hurricane Beryl.
Julian Robinson, opposition spokesman on finance and the public service.
The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the ECJ, is now in receipt of the relevant documents in relation to the push to make Portmore the country's 15th parish. The documents were handed over following a unanimous vote in a meeting of the Constituency Boundaries Committee on Tuesday. Juliet Holness chairs the committee.
By unanimous support, we will proceed with passing to the Electoral Commission of Jamaica a copy of the ruling along with a copy of the Act as passed by Parliament for their deliberations and their observations and their ultimate process. We in this committee would not be engaging in anything other than to pass or submit the information down the chain.
The documents were handed over in compliance with Section 67 of the Constitution. The section outlines the process for a standing committee of Parliament to review and adjust a number of constituencies and their boundaries. It's also one of the core points of the legal dispute between the country's two major political parties. According to the People's National Party, the push to give Portmore parish status is a ploy by the governing Jamaica Labour Party to manipulate the constituency boundaries. On Friday, the Supreme Court lifted the temporary injunction which had blocked the government from proceeding with the move. It also accepted the government's position that the transition would only come into operation after the completion of the procedure outlined in Section 67 of the Constitution. The ECJ is expected to provide an update to the committee by the end of May.
I would want us to incorporate so that timelines are important and set that they return to us by May 31st, an indication of what they've decided and exactly what they're doing. So as a parliament, we are informed and we move forward from there. So we would ask that the ECJ return to us by May 31st.
Juliet Holness, chairman of the Constituency Boundaries Committee of the Parliament.
Opposition spokesman on health Dr. Alfred Dawes says there's a mold crisis in need of urgent attention at the Kingston Public Hospital, KPH. Addressing a PNP media briefing on Tuesday, Dr. Dawes says the current administration is actively attempting to downplay the poor state of the facility.
An independent subject matter expert has confirmed that there is a mold crisis at the Kingston Public Hospital. They have moved out the clinics from that area, downscaled the size of the clinics and house them in a separate room, but the problem still exists. The pitch patch work that took place at Cornwall Regional Hospital when that mold crisis first came to light about 9 years ago is the same sort of work that is taking place at KPH today. On top of that, the 4 operating theaters are shut down now at the Kingston Public Hospital. And what has happened is that in that moist environment, mold is growing in the operating theaters. Again, this is being downplayed as something that can be fixed.
KPH is the largest multidisciplinary hospital in the Government Health Service. It's also the largest trauma center in the public hospital system. Dr. Dawes says the country cannot afford a shutdown of the facility in a similar manner to what occurred at Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James. According to Dawes, such an outcome would place significant strain on an already overburdened health system. He's urging Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton to address the issue.
One type A hospital in the entire Jamaica cannot serve a population of almost 3 million persons who are getting older, who have chronic diseases and get a lot of strokes, heart attacks, and we do have a high rate of motor vehicle accidents as well as violent trauma. So when you put all of those factors together, taking out Cornwall Regional out of the public healthcare sector and now taking out KPH as well, we are in a serious crisis mode. We cannot pretend as if it is business as usual. We cannot paint up a building and say that renovations are taking place. We cannot say that this was something that was inherited. We have to take decisive actions now.
Dr. Alfred Dawes, opposition spokesman on health.
The JLP caucus in the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is calling for PNP councillor Jesse James Clark to resign as opposition junior spokesman on health. The caucus says if Clark does not step down, he should be fired by the PNP president Mark Golding. The call follows several claims made by Clark regarding the water quality in Kingston and St. Andrew. According to Mr. Clark, the water provided by the National Water Commission is unsafe for drinking. The junior spokesman alleged that residents of the corporate area have been drinking contaminated water, putting their health and well-being at risk. The NWC has categorically dismissed the claims as false and misleading. JLP councillor Beverly Prince says Clark's comments are a desperate political ploy by the People's National Party.
Clark's unfortunate approach is consistent with the apparent preparedness of the Mark Golding-led PNP to burn Jamaica to the ground in their desperate bid to rule over ashes.
Beverly Prince, JLP councillor.
A mother of a 6-year-old girl who was allegedly sexually assaulted by an 11-year-old boy at the Jesse Rapal Primary School in Kingston says the institution and the Ministry of Education failed her child. The incident reportedly happened on March 11 this year. The mother says her daughter was taken into a classroom and assaulted by the boy. She says the boy was seen on CCTV camera dragging her daughter into the classroom. Our news center distorted the voice of the mother to protect her identity and that of her daughters.
The little boy said that he saw my child speaking about sex, and she was talking with her friends, and he decided to pull her apart and teach her about good touch and bad touch. With that being said, that's his side of the story. He says though the grill and the door was left open and the wind closed the door, my child spoke about her side of the story, and the school had a video that they showed to us showing some of what took place. So part of the video showing the little boy dragging my child, and then about 6 minutes after that, you could see my child running from the area. So she was running back to the pavilion so she can sit down and wait on her driver once more.
The mother says she went to the doctor seeking medical assistance for her child. The matter was reported to the Center of Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, CISOCA. It was also reported to the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
Meanwhile, the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, the CPFSA, says both children have been receiving psychological counseling. Laureate Adams Thomas is Chief Executive Officer at the agency.
As soon as this incident was brought to our attention at Sissoko, on Wednesday, March 12, we launched our own investigation into the matter to see how best we could intervene in the best interest of both children involved. The young victim has been referred to the Ministry of Justice's Victim Services Division for counseling, which has already begun, and the older child was referred to the Child Guidance Clinic for psychological intervention.
Mrs. Adams-Thomas says the agency has launched an investigation into the incident. She says home visits and community assessments will also be carried out for the two students.
We are deeply troubled by this incident, as schools should be looked at as a safe haven for students and not one where they should be vulnerable to being sexually abused, especially not by their fellow students. The CPFSA is continuing its investigation into this incident, and we will be doing home visits as well as community assessments for both children. We will also be doing a visit to the school to obtain further information to aid in our investigation.
Lord Adams-Thomas, the CEO of the CPFSA. You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
29 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 30 degrees out west in Montego Bay.
Jamaica Post is committed to being your preferred logistics partner. Enjoy the convenience of 3 to 5 days for international shipments at competitive rates and next business day delivery for local packages. Take advantage of our fast, reliable and ever-evolving services: Zip Mail, Click and Ship, Fast Track, EMS, Parcel Service, Registered Mail, Corporate Mail Service and Private Letterbox. Access customer service support and track packages online. Visit our post offices island-wide and premium service centers at select locations. For more information, go to jamaicapost.gov.jm. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, more than 80 Jamaicans have been killed by the security forces since the start of the year. That's according to the updated statistics published by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. The most recent fatal police shooting occurred on Tuesday. Dead is 39-year-old Robin St. Aubin Buchanan, otherwise called Rasta Corey. The incident occurred sometime after 4 Tuesday morning in the vicinity of Reese Road and Cassia Park Road in St. Andrew. Reports are that the Area 5 police team was conducting an operation in the area in search of wanted men when Rowe was seen traveling in a silver Toyota Probox. He was signaled to stop. However, he reportedly failed to comply with the instructions given by the police. It's alleged that he opened gunfire at the police. The lawman reportedly returned fire. He was taken to the Kingston Public Hospital where he was pronounced dead. A black Ruger with one magazine containing 3 9mm rounds of ammunition were seized. Over 100 rounds of ammunition were also reportedly discovered. The police say preliminary investigation suggests that the deceased was the leader of the Elbow Gang. He was wanted in the St. Catharines South Division for various crimes.
Member of Parliament for Central Manchester, Rhoda Moy Crawford, has thrown her support behind the plan to develop a national park in Mandeville. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness announced plans to build the park in the central Jamaica town. But the plan has been dismissed by Mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell. Ms. Crawford says the project should be supported by the residents of Mandeville.
No well-thinking resident of Mandeville will deny our need for an inclusive and accessible state-of-the-art facility with play areas, scenic walking and biking trails, open fields for sports and picnics, and designated areas for community events and gatherings which foster community spirit and promote physical and mental well-being.
According to the first-term MP, existing recreational facilities in the town are small and have limited access for members of the public. She says the plan for a national park in Mandeville will enhance development for the area.
This development aligns with our mine and that of the government initiatives designed to enhance housing solutions, boost connectivity, improve water access, ensure crime reduction, improve traffic management, bolster education, and upgrade health services in the constituency and parish. Mandeville deserves a national park that reflects our spirit of excellence and industriousness. Any opposition to this planned project is both short-sighted and anti-development.
Rhoda Moy Crawford, the Member of Parliament for Central Manchester. The other national parks across the country are Emancipation Park in St Andrew and Harmony Beach Park in St James.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute. Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Stuart Young says the 41 candidates of the People's National Movement, PNM, are ready for nomination day on Friday. In contrast, Young said the opposition and its allies are in complete disarray. April 28 was announced as a general election day, with April 4 being nomination day. Young's party presented its full slate of candidates at a special convention in Port of Spain on March 16. Prime Minister Young says the population can observe the other parties and compare readiness. Young was appointed as the Twin Island Republic's 8th Prime Minister on March 17, one day after Dr. Keith Rowley resigned from the post.
The U.S. stock market has closed on a day of uncertainty and anticipation of what new tariffs President Trump might unveil tomorrow. It's an anxious wait for world leaders, with details of the U.S. president's April 2 tariffs still largely unknown. On Tuesday, the White House press secretary said the president had met with his trade team to perfect the final details of the tariffs. However, there's been no confirmation of what those tariffs will be. Trump is expected to announce the new measures at a Rose Garden ceremony on Wednesday, and they will go into effect immediately. The government says countries are contacting the White House for last-minute negotiations. The European Union says it's ready to retaliate, while the UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says he's trying to avoid an immediate reaction to tariffs. The measures will come on top of tariffs already imposed on aluminum, steel and vehicles, along with increased levies on all goods from China.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the Jamaican economy has rebounded following 2 consecutive quarters of decline.
You will see a distinct V-shaped recovery following the devastation of Hurricane Beryl and the follow-on negative impact of Tropical Storm Rafael.
The Electoral Commission of Jamaica is now in possession of the documents relevant to making Portmore the 15th parish.
The PMP's Dr. Alfred Dawes is claiming there's a mold crisis at the KPH.
Mother of 6-year-old who was allegedly sexually assaulted by an 11-year-old says the school has failed her child.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
We a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, I can't see what we're pulling up. Anything for the taste, what we love. Barbecue, spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. 3 piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Bro, get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, no left feet. Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Former West Indies all-rounder Dwayne Bravo has slammed the Cricket West Indies for stripping Rovman Powell of the T20 captaincy. CWI announced on Monday that Powell, who took over the reins in 2023, will be replaced by the Barbadian Shai Hope, who is already the one-day international captain. The announcement came on the day when Craig Brathwaite stepped down as captain of the Test team. Hope appointed to lead the T20 side on the advice of head coach Darren Sammy. According to Sammy, Hope blends instinctive decision-making with analytical precision, using in-depth match data and player performance insights to shape strategy. However, the two-time T20 World Cup winner Bravo has rubbished the move. Bravo took to social media to register his disgust, saying, quote, "Once again, you guys prove to the people of the Caribbean and the cricket world that the injustices towards players continues. As a former player and a fan of West Indies cricket, this is easily one of the worst decisions ever. Taking over captaincy when our T20 team was in 9th spot and was able to move up to 3rd in the ranking, and this is how you guys repay him. The bad treatment towards players, when would it stop? This is so sad on all levels. Make it make sense," wrote Bravo. Meanwhile, veteran cricket commentator Joseph Reds Pereira says he was surprised by the move itself.
Well, I was a little bit surprised that Rovman Powell was not maintained. When you look at his win-loss record, it is not all that unimpressive. He leads by example. He's a very hard-working cricketer. He's a good leader of men, inspirational leader. But I think the West Indies board decided they didn't want to have 2 captains of the white ball franchise. So they have gone for an all-inclusive one captain in Shai Hope, and I think that was what the board had decided, and maybe it's unfortunate for Powell.
Joseph Reds Pereira. The 4-day Regional Cricket Championship resumes on Wednesday after a 3-week break with a full schedule of games on match day 6. The Jamaica Scorpions, who are 5th in the standings with 2 wins from 5 stars, will battle 2nd place Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, the game to be played at the Brian Lara Academy. Leaders and defending champions Guyana Harpy Eagles, they play away to the Leeward Islands Hurricanes at Warner Park in St. Kitts, the Windward Islands Volcanoes and the Barbados Pride. They'll square off at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia, while in a clash of the bottom place teams, combined campuses and colleges will take on West Indies Academy at Sir Frank Worrell Ground. All matches are scheduled to bowl off at 9 a.m. Jamaica time. England international Bukayo Saka returned from a 3-month injury layoff to score the winner for Arsenal as the Gunners beat Fulham by 2-1 at the Emirates in London in the English Premier League on Monday. Saka scored 7 minutes after coming on as a second-half substitute to add to Mikel Merino's first-half goal, which gave Arsenal the lead.
Timber, Nwaneri in behind Robinson, Merino, and deflected in. Mikel Merino will take the credit, but Bernd Lehner, the Fulham goalkeeper, given no chance. Martinelli found by Rice. Merino, Martinelli, and Saka scores. The perfect return for Bukayo Saka. It's the creativity on the left by Gabriel Martinelli which has caused Fulham so many problems this evening, and it's Bukayo Saka who profits.
Arsenal are 9 points behind leaders Liverpool, who host Everton on Wednesday. In other games on Tuesday, Nottingham Forest remain 4 points behind Arsenal in 3rd after seeing off Manchester United by 1-0. Ex-United player Anthony Elanga punished his former employers in minute 21.
Easily dealt with by Yates, and this is one of the strong suits for Nottingham Forest, their ability on the counter-attack. Elanga's got 40-50 yards and scores a quite magnificent opener. That is what Manchester United are missing by letting him go. and they let him go on the edge of their own penalty area. He did not look back.
Wolverhampton Wanderers dragged West Ham United further down into the relegation dogfight with them after a 1-0 win. Norwegian Jørgen Larsson scored the winner in the 21st minute for West Ham United to be 16th, a place above Wolves in the standings. And that's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 253,000 more Jamaicans are working. That's 28,000 new jobs each year. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
Great news, St. Thomas. The Jamaica Urban Transit Company is now in your parish, bringing safe, reliable, and affordable transportation right across your doorstep. We understand the challenges citizens face in the rural communities, and this is why the government is working hard to provide ease of transportation to all citizens across Jamaica. With easy-to-access routes, you can now travel comfortably to Kingston and beyond. No more long wait and travel time. We have more travel options. St. Thomas, your journey just got better. Ride with JUTC. Safe, reliable, and affordable transportation for all.
Well, I'm very comfortable.
A long time St. Thomas need a bus route like this.
Easier and cheaper.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Revamp your space with unique living, sleek fixed and sliding shower panels, shower systems and faucets, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, basins and kitchen sinks, closet and storage solutions, hanging aids, and more. Available in different finishes and sizes to match your style. Transform your space and visit us today at shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call us at 876-755-3661 or visit our website at uniquelivingja.com to shop.
How many times have we seen people reveal the most personal and intimate parts and places they do in the public domain? Then boops, all Dolly House mash up, and they're requesting privacy during this time. How must people be asked to respect your privacy when you haven't even shown it to yourself? How important is it for couples to be seen in the public space in order for validation and acceptance to be proof? Why do some partners insist every moment must be revealed? What is the relationship rate of success for those who are public versus private? What are the pros and cons? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic: if we're not all over social media, does that mean our relationship isn't the real deal?
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed. The Ministry of Health and Wellness. Healthy people, healthy environment. Dewars. Here's to the story. And Durex, distributed by Massey Distribution Limited, Jamaica.
Nationwide 90 FM wants to help you find your home sweet home with all things real estate. A 15-minute program during Nationwide This Morning every Wednesday at 8:35 a.m. All Things Real Estate gives you expert advice on how to navigate the process of owning any real estate, from residential and commercial to industrial or even vacant real estate. We'll guide you through every square foot of information. Now, let's turn that for sale into sold with All Things Real Estate every Wednesday at 8:35 a.m. on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
All Things Real Estate is brought to you by Law Boss Attorneys at Law.
Trauma can impact more than just your childhood. It can shape your future. Tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast live from the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma, on April 2. Join Professor the Honorable Wendell Abel, a leading expert in psychiatry, as he explores the long-lasting effects of childhood trauma and the path to recovery. It's an important conversation you don't want to miss. So tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, April 2 for the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma. Register now at Grace Kennedy Foundation's Eventbrite page to watch the live stream. Don't miss it. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
How you do?
Doing quite well.
Good. It's now time for the cover story. Well, listeners, the Jamaican economy has rebounded. Yes, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the preliminary information is suggesting that there was economic growth for the first quarter of 2025, that growth being between 0.1 and 1%. The finance minister provided an update in the House of Representatives this afternoon.
See a chart that shows the recovery in mining and quarrying from a deep decline of negative 17.4% in the third quarter and the significant improvement since then. Likewise, Madam Speaker, in the hotels and restaurant sector, the recovery is quite evident there as well, moving from the negative 4.9 to a significantly smaller negative of 0.3%. As a government, we remain committed to our growth agenda, which we know is sometimes disrupted, and that is why our efforts to build buffers to help protect this nation and our budgets are so incredibly important to maintain.
A V-shaped recovery is an economy that has suffered a sharp economic decline and experiences a fast and strong rebound. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, StatIn, announced the results of the final quarter of 2024 on Monday. They showed that the country's economy contracted for the second quarter in a row. However, that is actually less than was anticipated initially by the PIOJ.
While the GDP growth figure for the December quarter is negative 0.8%, it is significantly better than the estimate PIOJ thought that we would have experienced, which is negative 1.8%. PIOJ has indicated that the areas of variation were primarily in wholesale/retail and tourism. This means those sectors did better than anticipated. You will see a distinct V-shaped recovery following the devastation of Hurricane Beryl in the third quarter of 2024 and the follow-on negative impact of Tropical Storm Rafael in the fourth quarter of the calendar year 2024.
That's Favour Williams, the Minister of Finance and the Public Service. The Minister joins us now. Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners as well. And I apologize ahead if you hear noise in the background. I'm just in a location that has some noise around me.
Understood. You know, the first thing I got messaged earlier was, what is a V-shaped recovery? And I want you to explain to the Jamaican people or listeners what exactly that means. We have sought to give an explanation, but for you as a finance minister to explain, what does that mean?
Well, just to say, if you look at a chart of the GDP growth numbers, you will see literally what looks like a V. So you would see a decline. If you're standing in front of the chart, you kind of see a decline on your left-hand side, and then an improvement, a significant improvement on your right-hand side. It looks like a V. It's shaped like a V.
So it goes down and then it goes up.
Yeah, and it goes up sharply.
Okay.
And there are other types of recoveries. You could have a U-shaped recovery where it takes a little longer for you to see the recovery, and they have some other variations. But this was a distinct V recovery following the devastation of Hurricane Beryl and the tropical storm Raphael, that we had in consecutive quarters, the third quarter of the calendar year and the fourth quarter of the calendar year.
Minister Williams, there was something raised by your opposition counterpart in Parliament, and they've raised this before, and I want to give you an opportunity to actually address it. They're of the belief that based on the tapering off of Jamaica's economic growth, even prior to Beryl and Raphael, that the country would have headed into a decline regardless. What do you say to that?
Well, all right. So if you take a longer view and you go back to when we had COVID, we suffered a massive decline during COVID and, even coming out of COVID. So, of course, when you're measuring the growth after that and you're measuring it on those depressed numbers, you're going to see much stronger numbers as the economy comes back to normal. When it comes back to normal, the growth rates are going to normalize as well, meaning it will get more to where you've traditionally been. So, the opposition showed a chart. Obviously, they picked the point that they wanted to pick to emphasize what they wanted to show. But if you take a longer look at the GDP growth rate, you will see exactly that, where we went down pretty sharply in COVID, we stayed down, and then when we recovered strongly with, all the 6% growth rate and so on. And now we are measuring these new numbers off of those very strong recovery numbers that we had.
Mm-hmm. Minister, you have said before, the Prime Minister has also said that growth, we're in the growth phase, that is going to be a priority. The first quarter, it's between remind me, Siobhan, it's between 0.1 and 1%. Surely you'd want it to be more robust than that. What's your word to our listeners this evening about how the government plans now to accelerate that going forward?
So, we know that this economy needs to provide significantly stronger growth numbers. And so you will see us do things like what we announced during the budget in terms of putting more funding into DBJ so that the MSMEs that tend to be faster growing than the larger companies, that they can get access to financing. You saw us listen to the sector that said they wanted the fees to be rolled up into the loan, and that was done. We would like to put more funding into the DBJ and other such institutions so that those in need of the funding to grow, to expand, can do so. So that's just one example of, what we would be doing to help the cause of growth. But also remember that we unfortunately are in the hurricane zone. And sometimes when we're not having hurricanes and tropical storm, we're having drought. So that impacts our growth because it takes us into negative territory, and then we have to spend time building from there. So in the agricultural sector, for instance, you will note the investment, a massive investment that has gone on in having greenhouses so that we have greater production in the agricultural sector. And I note that during Beryl, yes, the greenhouses are going to go down, but they come back online very quickly, especially these ones that are being built with new technology these days. Want to encourage more of those. And Minister Green, when he speaks, he's going to tell you about the massive spending for irrigation in the agricultural sector. So those things have never been done before. Massive irrigation has not been done before on the scale that we have funded. And then the greenhouse infrastructure, just significant. So those are some of the things that are being put in place to help with the growth figure.
We're up on the break, Minister. If you could stay with us, please.
Sure.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:44.
Crispy, crunchy, tantalizing fried chicken only at Bird Shack. Satisfy your hunger today. The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay and Ochivios is...
28 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance. Just in case your bank crash dead. No need to put your hands by your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it. Or throw a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposits we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and Building Society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC protecting deposits for you and me.
Valia, we a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, I can see when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste what we love. Barbecue, spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. Three piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Bro, get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, no left feet. It's a big deal.
Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking about the economy with the Minister of Finance, Fayval Williams. As we said earlier, the country is experiencing a V-shaped recovery. Expected growth in the first quarter of 2025 is 0.1 to 1%, and that's coming from 2 quarters of decline ending in December 2024, where that was 0.8%, which was actually slightly better than what was anticipated, with a contraction of 1.8%. Being estimated by the Planning Institute of Jamaica. So, Minister Williams, while we can appreciate that the country seems to be heading back on the path of recovery, heading back to growth, there are some headwinds on the horizon that even the Bank of Jamaica and the PIOJ are quite concerned about, and that is the tariff situation being essentially inflamed by the actions of the United States president and other retaliatory actions taken by other countries. Is there any concern at the Cabinet as to how this could affect us here locally?
Well, we know that tariffs generally increase prices. So, yes, if you see the caution by the Bank of Jamaica, it's with that in mind, because increased prices could elevate inflation, and we have a regime here in Jamaica that a policy of inflation, core inflation, being in the 4 to 6% range. So yes, that is on the horizon for us. Jamaica, we do import quite a bit into our country, and so we do import inflation into the country as well. So any efforts that we can make towards having more homegrown agricultural products and other goods and services, then it's going to play to our benefit to do that as well.
I mean, resilience is, when you're talking about shocks such as hurricanes and natural disasters, in some way it's easier to build resilience to those kinds of situations, but how do you build up resilience against geopolitical issues?
I wouldn't say it's easy to build resilience.
Not easy, but easier speaking.
We've never had the kind of resilience that we have in place now for disasters, because it is it costs money to do.
Yes.
And, so I wouldn't just write it off as being easy to do. It's been a deliberate policy by this government to ensure that we have funds set aside or access to funds in the event of these natural disasters, which we should expect. Going forward, that they're going to get more intense and probably more frequent.
But my question is, in terms of knowing how to deal with the resilient aspect of climate change and climate-related shocks, it's something that, as you said, you know how to build that resilience. You're attempting to do that. But in the case of geopolitical tensions and geopolitical changes, how do you adapt to those situations as a government and as a Minister of Finance?
Well, in terms of what you just mentioned, the tariffs, we know, based on history, what happens when countries institute tariffs, against each other. It could cost more. So you get your citizens to buy local, produce local, get as higher content, local content as you can into the things that you do in order to at least have some kind of a buffer against the global kind of rise in prices that you would expect as a result of tariffs. And then obviously again, we have our Bank of Jamaica that has already paused interest rate reduction. They're watching the global environment, and they stand ready with the tools at their disposal to head off any unintended inflation.
And Minister, back to the point of building resilience against the natural disasters, because I was thinking to myself just now, it must get frustrating sometimes that you do all the work, you build it up, and then things that you can't control brings you back to square one and you have to build again. Outside of building up the kind of resilience in terms of funding that the administration has done, has the government had any conversations about what else? What else could be done?
The what else is to build back better. So
and how do we do that?
Build a better road. So if we were used to putting 2 inches of asphalt on a road, then we put 4 or 6. So you build much stronger roads. You build sidewalks. You build drainage so that the rainwater is not running all over the road. It's channeled into, culverts and so on. You build buildings that are stronger, that can withstand a certain speed, wind, and so on. That's what we mean when we say build back better, build back stronger, so that the next time around it doesn't take you down as far as it would have previously.
But then in terms of the call on the budget to build that now kind of resilience, what does that look like in terms of how you see it down the road?
Well, we have bigger budgets. We have been able to spend more on capital spending. Now we have to just demand just exceedingly better quality. I know it's going to be more expensive to put in that better quality, but in the long run, it will save us from having to redo things that we would have just done. So that's where we have to go to ensure that what we're putting in place can withstand a certain level of disaster. I'm not going to pretend that we're going to be able to withstand everything, but at least we have some history about the intensity of hurricanes and rainfall, and we know where the rainfall happens mostly and so on. So we have to be more deliberate, and you will note that in our road infrastructure, for example, the Spark program, you are seeing more deliberate action in building drainage, in ensuring that if we're to put in water pipes, we put it while the road is being built, and that you don't have to go back after the road is being built and dig it up again and create kind of areas for water to seep under the road and mash it up. So those are some of the deliberate actions on the part of the government to build back better.
Do you get the sense, Minister, that what you just outlined, that vision of building back better and the resilience that we have to build up because of where our country just, naturally is located, do you get the sense that that's starting now to seep into the general population's thinking about the economy and the shocks that it can face?
Absolutely. And just to give you for instance, persons who are building their homes now, there's hardly anybody who wants to have a zinc roof. They all want a decking, right? Because they know that during a hurricane, that's a better situation for them than a zinc roof. So it is seeping into the consciousness of Jamaicans. They want a solid home that they don't have to fear when they hear rain is, we're going to have heavy rain or, God forbid, we, have another kind of hurricane situation. So, yes, it is seeping into the consciousness or building standards are quite high, but I'm sure there are ways that we could still make it more resilient, and we're building because we understand where we're located geographically, and we have not been deniers about climate change. We have looked it in the face, and we have said we have to engineer our economy to be able to withstand these changes that are happening around us.
And Minister, just finally from me, the matter of the wage negotiation cycle, I'm not going to get into the actual negotiations. Obviously, those are ongoing, and those have to be taking place in closed doors. But the Fiscal Commissioner has raised the issue that maybe it's time that we move toward a fixed wage negotiation cycle that happens before the next budget debate cycle comes up in order to better plan so that we don't have to worry about having to make adjustments to that budget in the following fiscal year. Where are we in terms of getting that done?
Well, I know in terms of the current cycle, it has started. Meetings have happened, and during my budget presentation, I outlined for the unions that have written to us, the meetings that have taken place. I have participated in some of those meetings. Ideally, you would love to have these meetings completed before the budget cycle. But again, these are negotiations. And yes, while we want to have it within a certain time frame, you have to allow multiple meetings for persons to come and present and agree, disagree, go away and come back. But again, though, we have moved away from just the annual negotiation. You've seen where we've gone to longer periods of time, right? So it's not always that we have a wage negotiation, ahead of the budget. It's just as the cycle comes up, whether it's a 3-year or 4-year cycle, then it may happen after the budget. But within the budget, though, because it's known that the cycle is coming to an end, there is an allocated amount within the confines or the contours of the budget that we have to meet that wage increase. And it is within that the various unions and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service would try to negotiate within that allocation.
Yeah. Favour Williams is the country's Minister of Finance and the Public Service. Thank you for your time as always. Really appreciate it.
Right. Thank you for having me.
Have a
good afternoon.
You too. Yeah. So the word for the first quarter of 2025, 0.1, between 0.1 and 1% growth, and it's a V-shaped economy. I won't tell you the running joke in the newsroom about a V-shaped economy.
I don't know if it's a running joke, Ricardo, just one that you were trying to make a running joke, but understood.
I know it's funny. The economy is on the path to growth. That's the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is 6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. Finance Minister Favour Williams says the country is now experiencing a V-shaped recovery following the impact of Hurricane Beryl. The minister provided the update in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, noting preliminary information from the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, anticipating economic growth in the first quarter of 2025 of between 0.1 and 1%. This is also supported by seasonally adjusted GDP growth figures for the fourth quarter of 2024.
See a chart that shows the recovery in mining and quarrying from a deep decline of negative 17.4% in the third quarter and the significant improvement since then. Likewise, Madam Speaker, in the hotels and restaurant sector, the recovery is quite evident there as well, moving from the negative 4.9 to a significantly smaller negative of 0.3%. As a government, we remain committed to our growth agenda, which we know is sometimes disrupted, and that is why our efforts to build buffers to help protect this nation and our budgets are so incredibly important to maintain.
In a V-shaped recovery, an economy that has suffered a sharp economic decline experiences a fast and strong rebound. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin announced the results for the final quarter of 2024 on Monday. They showed that the country's economy contracted for the second quarter in a row. However, according to Minister Williams, the contraction was not as severe as previously anticipated.
While the GDP growth figure for the December quarter is negative 0.8%, it is significantly better than the estimate PIOJ thought that we would have experienced, which is negative 1.8%. PIOJ has indicated that the areas of variation were primarily in wholesale/retail and tourism. This means those sectors did better than anticipated. You will see a distinct V-shaped recovery following the devastation of Hurricane Beryl in the third quarter of 2024 and the follow-on negative impact of Tropical Storm Rafael in the fourth quarter of the calendar year 2024.
Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service. A mother of a 6-year-old girl who was allegedly sexually assaulted by an 11-year-old boy at the Jesse Paul Primary School in Kingston says the institution and the Ministry of Education failed her child. The incident reportedly happened on March 11 this year. The mother says her daughter was taken into a classroom and assaulted by the boy. She alleges the boy was seen on CCTV camera dragging her daughter into the classroom. Our news center distorted the voice of the mother to protect her identity and that of her daughters.
The little boy said that he saw my child speaking about sex, and she was talking with her friends, and he decided to pull her apart and teach her about good touch and bad touch. With that being said, that's his side of the story. He says though the grill and the door was left open and the wind closed the door, my child spoke about her side of the story, and the school had a video that they showed to us showing some of what took place. So part of the video showing the little boy jogging my child, and then about 6 minutes after that, you could see my child running from the area. So she was running back to the pavilion so she can sit down and wait on her driver once more.
The mother says she had to seek medical assistance for her child. The matter was reported to the Center for Investigation on Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, CISOCA, but the mother says the school failed in handling the matter.
They took statements from the child. After that, they instructed me that nothing much would become of the situation because they are both minors. Then after that, we went to a board meeting at the school, and the takeaway moment from the board meeting was, don't put it in the media, try to let the child live in the moment, and hopefully she will forget about it. If the school had dealt with the situation at hand, then I would have felt much better. But instead, what they did was stick to their reputation. I think that's what they're mainly about, sticking to the reputation and not really caring if my child is going to be traumatized for the rest of her life. So I believe once more that the ministry and the school failed my child.
The matter was also reported to the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA. Meanwhile, the CPFSA says both children have been receiving psychological counseling. Laurette Adams Thomas is Chief Executive Officer at the agency.
As soon as this incident was brought to our attention at CISOCA, on Wednesday, March 12, we launched our own investigation into the matter to see how best we could intervene in the best interest of both children involved. The young victim has been referred to the Ministry of Justice's Victim Services Division for counseling, which has already begun, and the older child was referred to the Child Guidance Clinic for psychological intervention.
Mrs. Adams Thomas says the agency has launched an investigation into the incident. She says home visits and community assessments will be carried out for the two students.
We are deeply troubled by this incident, as schools should be looked at as a safe haven for students and not one where they should be vulnerable to being sexually abused, especially not by their fellow students. The CPFSA is continuing its investigation into this incident, and we will be doing home visits as well as community assessments for both children. We will also be doing a visit to the school to obtain further information to aid in our investigation.
Laurette Adams Thomas, CEO of the CPFSA. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay. Banton Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Our total tools.
Lead walker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
We a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, I can see when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste what we love. Barbecue, spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. 3-piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Bro, get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, not left feet.
Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
What is the
For more
TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you?
One day, Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently? But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deep fake?
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
How many times have we seen people reveal the most personal and intimate parts and places they do in the public domain? Then boops, all Dolly House mash up, and they're requesting privacy during this time. How must people be asked to respect your privacy when you haven't even shown it to yourself? How important is it for couples to be seen in the public space in order for validation and acceptance to be proof? Why do some partners insist every moment must be revealed? What is the relationship rate of success for those who are public versus private? What are the pros and cons? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic: if we're not all over social media, does that mean our relationship isn't the real deal?
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed. The Ministry of Health and Wellness. Healthy people, healthy environment. Dewars. Here's to the story. And Durex. Distributed by Massey Distribution Limited, Jamaica.
Trauma can impact more than just your childhood. It can shape your future. Tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast live from the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma, on April 2. Join Professor the Honorable Wendell Abel, a leading expert in psychiatry, as he explores the long-lasting effects of childhood trauma and the path to recovery. It's an important conversation you don't want to miss. So tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, April 2 for the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma. Register now at Grace Kennedy Foundation's Eventbrite page to watch the live stream. Don't miss it. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Former West Indies all-rounder Dwayne Bravo has slammed the Cricket West Indies for stripping Rovman Powell of the T20 captaincy. Cricket West Indies announced on Monday that Powell, who took over the reins in 2023, will be replaced by the Barbadian Shai Hope, who is already the one-day international captain. The announcement came on the day when Craig Brathwaite stepped down as captain of the Test team. Hope, appointed to lead the T20 side he's appointed to lead the T20 side on the advice of head coach Darren Sammy. According to Sammy, Hope blends instinctive decision-making with analytical precision, using in-depth match data and player information insights to shape his strategy. However, the two-time T20 World Cup winner, Bravo, has rubbished the move. Bravo took to social media to register his disgust, saying, quote, "Once again, you guys proved to the people of the Caribbean and the cricket world that the injustices towards players continues. As a former player and a fan of West Indies cricket, this is easily one of the worst decisions ever." Taking over captaincy when the T20 team was in 9th spot and able to bring it up to 3rd in the rankings, and this is how you guys repay him? The bad treatment towards players, when will it stop? This is so sad on all levels. Make it make sense, Bravo wrote. Meanwhile, veteran cricket commentator Joseph Rex Pereira says he was surprised by the move.
Well, I was a little bit surprised that Rovman Powell was not maintained. When you look at his win-loss record, it is not all that unimpressive. He leads by example. He's a very hard-working cricketer. He's a good leader of men, inspirational leader. But I think the West Indies board decided they didn't want to have two captains of the white ball franchise. So they have gone for an all-inclusive one captain in Shai Hope, and I think that was what the board had decided, and maybe it's unfortunate for Powell.
Joseph Reds Pereira. Cricket West Indies President Dr. Kishore Shallow says the organization will not tolerate any form of abuse, as there is a zero tolerance policy on any form of abuse in the organization. Shallow says the zero tolerance isn't only for players but the staff and everyone involved. Shallow was responding to a question on Cricket West Indies' handling of a recent allegation of sexual harassment within the West Indies women's camp at the 2020 International Cricket Council T20 World Cup. The allegations in question surfaced when a March 21 Starcom Network report indicated that a former West Indies women's cricketer is alleging that she endured prolonged sexual harassment when she was in the team. The cricketer's claims were reportedly supported by former West Indies women's manager Avril Betty Lewis. New Cricket West Indies CEO Chris Deering said an official report of the alleged incident was never given to the board. Similar to Shallow, Deering said there was no room for behavior of that nature in the regional teams setup. Deering said a whistleblower policy is also in the works to ensure players feel safe when dealing with matters of this nature. He says there's no need to be a process that allows people to feel confident to come to the board or an independent organization to be able to report such matters. Deering says a very competent and experienced HR committee has been working on the whistleblower policy, and it will be populated with West Indies Players Association WIPA, who have been engaged to try and deal with any type of athlete safeguarding issues. The 4-day Regional Cricket Championship resumes on Wednesday after a 3-week break with a full schedule of games on match day 6. The Jamaica Scorpions, who are 5th in the standings with 2 wins from 5 stars, will battle second place Trinidad and Tobago Red Force at the Brian Lara Academy. Leaders and defending champions Guyana Harper Eagles will play away to the Leeward Islands Hurricanes at Warner Park in St. Kitts. The Windward Islands Volcanoes and the Barbados Pride square off at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia, while in a clash of bottom-placed teams, combined campuses and colleges will face the West Indies Cricket Academy at the Sir Frank Worrell Oval ground. All games are scheduled to bowl off at 9 o'clock in the morning Jamaica time. England international Bukayo Saka returned from a 3-month injury layoff to score the winner for Arsenal as the Gunners beat Fulham 2-1 at the Emirates in the English Premier League on Monday. Saka scored 7 minutes after coming on as a second-half substitute to add to Mikel Merino's first-half goal, which gave Arsenal the lead.
Timber, Nwaneri in behind Robinson, Merino, and deflected in. Mikel Merino will take the credit, but Bernd Lehner, the Fulham goalkeeper, given no chance. Martinelli found by Rice. Merino, Martinelli, and Saka scores. The perfect return for Bukayo Saka. It's the creativity on the left by Gabriel Martinelli which has caused Fulham so many problems this evening, and it's Bukayo Saka who profits.
Arsenal are now 9 points behind leaders Liverpool, who host Everton on Wednesday. In other games on Tuesday, Nottingham Forest remain 4 points behind Arsenal in third after seeing off Manchester United 1-0. Ex-United player Anthony Elanga punished his former employers in the 21st minute.
Easily dealt with by Yates, and this is one of the strong suits for Nottingham Forest. Their ability on the counter-attack. Elanga's gone 40-50 yards and scores a quite magnificent opener. That is what Manchester United are missing by letting him go. And they let him go on the edge of their own penalty area. He did not look back.
Wolverhampton Wanderers dragged West Ham United further down into the relegation dogfight with them after a 1-0 win. Norwegian Jørgen Larsen scored the winner in the 21st minute for West Ham to be now 16th place above Wolverhampton Wanderers. And Jamaica will be well represented in the quarterfinals of the CONCACAF Club Champions Cup despite not having a team in this round of the tournament. Quarterfinal 1 will feature a Mexico Clasico with Club America hosting Cruz Azul, while LA Galaxy will take on Tigres Unal in the second round match today. On Wednesday, Los Angeles FC will take on Inter Miami, and Vancouver Whitecaps will take on Pumas Unam. Each side will seek to take a first step towards the semi-finals, but the teams also were wary of the importance of attaining the away goals. Jamaica will have Stephanie Dale-Yeasing, Danian Parchment, O'Shane Nation, and O.J. Duhaney as members of the officiating teams. Yeasing will serve as assistant match referee, while Parchment will act as a VAR referee for the game between Galaxy and Tigres. The nation will stand in the middle of the game between Los Angeles and Inter Miami, while Doheny will serve as assistant referee and Parchment as a VAR referee in the games on Wednesday. And finally, in sports at this time, Manchester City striker Erling Haaland will be out of action for up to 7 weeks with an ankle injury suffered in Sunday's FA Cup quarter-final win at Bournemouth. The Norwegian was substituted in minute 61 after scoring the equaliser, as City went on to beat the Cherries by 2-1 to reach the semi-finals. A video was posted on social media showing the 24-year-old leaving the Vitality Stadium on crutches and with his left ankle in a protective boot. City announced today that Haaland would see a specialist about the injury and anticipate he'll be fit to play a further part in the remainder of the season, including this summer's FIFA World Club Championship. Haaland missed a penalty and 2 big chances on Sunday, but he turned in Nico O'Reilly's cross to level the game before Omar Marmoush scored the winner for City. That will do it for sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
We a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, I can't see when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste what we love. Barbecue, spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. 3 piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Go get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, no left foot. It's a big deal.
Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Trauma can impact more than just your childhood. It can shape your future. Tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast live from the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma, on April 2. Join Professor the Honorable Wendell Abel, a leading expert in psychiatry, as he explores the long-lasting effects of childhood trauma and the path to recovery. It's an important conversation you don't want to miss. So tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, April 2 for the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma. Register now at Grace Kennedy Foundation's Eventbrite page to watch the live stream. Don't miss it. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special one to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you for tuning in. We want to hear from you, so go ahead and comment in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. It's something that affects and maybe has had an effect on someone, anyone, me, you, he, she, or the old lady. Now, the Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, says internet banking fraud has gone up by nearly 900% since 2020. The central bank's latest financial stability report for 2024 has identified internet fraud and cyber risks as two of the most significant emerging threats to the country's banking sector. The report was posted on the BOJ's website on Monday. Cybercrimes have been on the rise across the world due to the significant expansion of online banking sparked by COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic, and Jamaica has seen a similar expansion. The CEO of 876 Solutions, Trevor Forrest, says he's not surprised by the rise in the incidents of internet banking fraud.
The fact that internet banking fraud has skyrocketed is no surprise. It is a little surprising, the percentage, but the fact that it has skyrocketed over that period of time is no surprise at all. I mean, in our space, we see the kind of activity that's going on out there, phishing, social engineering, credential stuffing, SIM-jacking, the plethora of insecure applications that are out there downloaded from your Google or your App Store or so on. So it's not a surprise.
Indeed, that was Trevor Forrest, the CEO of 876 Solutions, reacting to news that internet banking fraud has gone up by nearly 900% since 2020. So, in public opinion this evening, we're asking you the people, the customers of these banking institutions, are these institutions doing enough to protect you from online fraud? Are financial institutions doing enough to protect you, the customer, from online fraud? That's our public opinion question today. Let us know what you think in our YouTube chat. I'll start with the comments on our X platform. We are not going back, says the scammers are more advanced than the banks. And he's questioning, when will banks use the billions they make to protect their customers? John Bullock is saying no. He doesn't feel as though financial institutions are doing enough to protect their customers from online fraud. Theodore Teddy says, no, I don't think financial institutions are doing enough. If they were doing enough, they would be in control and people would get their money back. Yeah. On Instagram, hey, it's Lady Cutchinson saying no with an exclamation mark. Empress also saying nope. Weavon saying, I guess these banks should start looking to employ some of these hackers because they always seem to be one step ahead of the banks. Wow. Chris Duncan says, no, their systems are easily hacked with a mountain to climb for customers to be reimbursed their hard-earned money. Like I've had some situations where I'm being told that reimbursement will take up to 30 days. So that comment there, I can totally understand that comment. The person, Chris Duncan, saying that it's like a mountain to climb for customers to be reimbursed their money whenever these incidents happen. But I guess there are the procedures in place, proper procedures, because, All right, let's see. Jermaine Donovan on our Facebook platform says, no, the same employee is doing it. What an allegation, Jermaine. Prince Wellington says, no, them just a collect the $1,000 to use over-the-counter service when too much customers using the ATM. More money for them while the customers suffer for days. Philip Jackson says, to be honest, I don't know what more can be done when it comes to electronic fraud. Thieves are well equipped to breach these systems. They study hard at gaining new ways to beat the system every day. We can't get rid of thieves. Remember, 2 was on the cross with Jesus. One asked for mercy, but the other did not. Wow. Philip Jackson can always depend on you with those biblical references. Winston saying, if the financial institutions were doing enough, then there wouldn't be any bank fraud, would it? Yeah? El Comandante Mendez saying, not in my opinion, and when you're defrauded, they take forever to investigate and then deny liability. Yeah, and I mean the customers, who are the customers to know? Because at times, I guess, We can't necessarily do our own investigations from the back end. Shins for Life saying absolutely not. And their number one defense is to always blame the customers and ignorance to new technology when they're doing absolutely nothing to prevent criminality and protect customers. Yeah? Prof. Brian Cameron is questioning why should they if some of them could be very much involved in the fraudulent transactions. Nicholson K.N. Nicola saying that I don't believe this is a yes or no answer, but if anything happens, you're only getting back the insured amount. For Courtney Thomas, he's saying not so good. The financial institutions are doing not so good. When you report that your money is missing, all I see them do is tell customers that they are that it's being investigated. Yeah? Natalie Winter says, your guess is as good as mine. Edney Powell says, no, the bank is not doing enough to prevent fraud. And when it happens, you don't even know if you will be reimbursed. And then it takes a lot of time. For Carlington Bartley, he's saying this thing bigger than any one country. All over the world, the relevant authorities are playing catch up. That's not safe. Yeah? Eunice Anderson says, sometimes some of them are behind it. Wow, such allegations. Are financial institutions doing enough to protect you, the customers, from online fraud? Let's turn our attention to our YouTube chat where Isa Mario saying the banks can do so much and so little. They just have to keep their systems updated and keep us informed. Use your credit card online and not your debit. Lose the bank's money and not yours. All right. David Nabar believes that the same people designed the system, the same people who sell info. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get in some more. Is this Jamacracy? Jamacracy is saying scammer them there. All right. We don't support that. None at all, don't it? Let me see if I can get in some more on this. Flashpoint is saying the banks simply don't care. They are more interested in marketing and holding social events. Yeah. Hayworth Martin believes that the thief them rob us on the outside while the banks rob us on the inside. Such allegations, Hayworth Martin, coming from you. Let me see if I can get in some more here about the banking institutions. Can they do more? What more can they do at this point in time? Let me see. Who done it here is saying to us, let me see if I can find back the comment. The banks need more character references and due diligence and staffing. For Silly Billy is saying to us that the banks are doing a bad job. Government need to step in to help their people. Sandra Murray says, oh no, if some of them insider take it, then how them fi protect customers from internet fraud? Them no better. All right. Allegations there. Flashpoint says your funds are not safe in the majority of financial services in Jamaica. Wow. Little to no trust there coming from Flashpoint. Mildred Hamilton saying that hackers could be a part of the financial institutions. They are clearly ahead of the game. Institutions are more reactive than proactive after the fact. Let me see. Philip Jackson, blessings to you. I mean, there are several things being put out educational wise to, don't click on links. They're advising us not to do this, not to do that, to educate yourself as it relates to fraud and how you or anyone can become a victim. Mary Bug says hard to manage the crooks when they are a step ahead. Yeah, Robert McKenzie coming in with this one. Put your money under the mattress. Wow. And from me I grow, I come up. Me not done grow yet, but from me I grow, I come up, me hear that one day. Robert McKenzie. For Pablo, he's saying they are trying a credit card at an insurer site and BNS will block the card and send an email to the customer. Yeah, I've seen where the banking institutions are indeed trying. I mean, before or some time ago, we weren't able to trace the funds in terms of getting emails and all of that to say your card was being used here, there, And I think that part of it has made it a little bit more easier for us, the customers, to detect these instances whenever it is that our cards are being used, whenever we use them, things like that. So the banking institutions are making, I would think, progress to some extent. But the fact still remains that the BOJ is reporting that there has been a significant increase. Yeah, internet banking fraud has gone up by nearly 900% since 2020. That's a whole heap. People, educate yourself as much as you can. Yeah, do not fall victim to online fraud. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ is advising members of the public and the business community that the Special Arrears Settlement Program has been extended to May 31, 2025. Now, this means that individuals and business persons still have an opportunity to maximize on the offer of the authority to pay their principal liabilities that will result in corresponding percentage of interest, penalties, and surcharges, that's IPS, waived. The eight-week program, TAJ says, with a target of $10 billion, was exceeded by $500 million, which will result in approximately $12 billion of waivers in IPS. TAJ says it's a strong indicator that taxpayers have both seen the benefit of such an offer and have answered the call to take advantage to become and remain compliant. Farther afield, the UK's official statistics agency, whose information is at the heart of decisions affecting millions of people, is under review following criticisms about its data. The government has asked a former top civil servant to conduct an independent investigation into the effectiveness of the Office for National Statistics, ONS. The Bank of England has previously criticized the statistics agency for the reliability of its job market data, which the central bank looks at to decide whether to raise or cut interest rates. The ONS has previously accepted its economic data has some issues and on Tuesday said it looked forward to engaging with the review. And finally, in our currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost $158.54 to buy $1 US. It cost 203 Jamaican dollars and 53 cents to buy 1 British pound and 110 Jamaican dollars and 75 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
How many times have we seen people reveal the most personal and intimate parts and places they do in the public domain? Then boops, all Dalio smash up and they're requesting privacy during this time. How must people be asked to respect your privacy when you haven't even shown it to yourself? How important is it for couples to be seen in the public space in order for validation and acceptance to be proof? Why do some partners insist every moment must be revealed? What is the relationship rate of success for those who are public versus private? What are the pros and cons? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic: if we're not all over social media, does that mean our relationship isn't the real deal?
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed. The Ministry of Health and Wellness. Healthy people, healthy environment. Dewars. Here's to the story. And Durex. Distributed by Massey Distribution Limited, Jamaica.
Trauma can impact more than just your childhood. It can shape your future. Tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast live from the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation Lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma, on April 2. Join Professor the Honorable Wendell Abel, a leading expert in psychiatry, as he explores the long-lasting effects of childhood trauma and the path to recovery. It's an important conversation you don't want to miss. So tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, April 2 for the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation Lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma. Register now at Grace Kennedy Foundation's Eventbrite page to watch the live stream. Don't miss it. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
This time signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now
6:39. Good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're going to invite you, if you're in Radioland and you can join us, please to join us on the YouTube platform, Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. We're going to premiere a podcast episode, and you'll be well served to watch because it's video as well as audio. So if you can't join us on YouTube, we understand. But if you can, please, Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. This podcast, Conversations with Movers and Shakers. And our first guest is the chairman of Fontana, Kevin O'Brien Chang.
Welcome to Conversation with Movers and Shakers. I'm Cliff Hughes. This is one of Nationwide's newest podcasts. Jamaicans are ambitious and aspirational. We admire success and people who achieve it. This podcast is designed to bring you the inspirational stories of Jamaica's top business leaders, captains of industry, and visionaries. We'll hear about their journeys to where they are now, some of the challenges they have faced along the way, the successes and the failures. Yes, how they have fallen and have to pick up themselves from the floor. For the first episode, we're being joined by the chairman of Fontana Pharmacy, Kevin O'Brien Chang. Most of you may know him as an outspoken political and social commentator, more so than a pharmacist. Today, welcome to Conversation with Movers and Shakers.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Kevin, good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Many people.
Always an honor to be on Nationwide.
Thank you. Many people know you as a social and political commentator, writer, but your full-time job is the business of pharmacy.
Sorry, no.
How did that start?
Which one?
The pharmacy.
Well, my parents were visionaries, Angela and Bobby Chan, back in 1968. Manchester Shopping Center opened in Mandeville. The show times changed. At the time, it was the third plaza in Jamaica.
Ooh.
First plaza was Tropical Plaza. Second was Ligony Plaza. And the visionary Mr. Blake in Mandeville, he said, well, this is the changing times, so he put a plaza in Mandeville.
1968. 57 years ago.
That's right, long time.
Yeah.
And, well, the reality is my parents, they had a supermarket in Cristiano. They got notice. Said, we're for the something, and they saw the plaza going up, and visionaries to looking at the future. They said, well, this is the future. At the time, many people said, boy, it's far from, because it's a big cow pasture, you know, how big things are. But it was the right thing. And to the time, people wanted, instead of going to the downtown, uptown with all the no parking, cars are coming in. People are more cars than walk foot.
Yes.
And you need to park. The downtowns and uptowns, the kind of, with Mandeville call downtown, uptown, because you go up, there's no parking, it's walk foot.
Right.
More cars coming in. So they said, well, this is the future. People need space to park. And so it was. And they actually opened a fashion store. It was a big store. The pharmacy was an afterthought. After a year, the fashion store was doing better. So the pharmacy was doing better. So they made the pharmacy the main thrust. So Bobby and Angela Chang. My father's still alive, 93, the youngest looking 93-year-old man in the world in Canada. My mother passed in 2014. But it was their vision, everything started from it. And we have all of every Fontana, we have it, that they started it, and 4 principles: service, respect, family, and community. Those are our basics. Service comes first to the customer. You respect everybody no matter what they look like. And the family, what our families do. No family business, and we cater to everybody at Fontana from in the belly when they're almost dead.
Right.
And then our community, we try to give back. You know, we're here to be partners of the people, not to just take. We have to give back. You know, I mean, that's our philosophy.
So where were you born?
I was in Jamaica.
Where in Jamaica?
I was born at St. Joseph Hospital. All of us were 7. I have 7 in our family. I'm the boy, first one, 6 sisters after. All were born at St. Joseph Hospital. I think it's in Vineyard Town.
In Vineyard Town?
Yeah. They don't have it anymore, but all of us were born there.
So the Christiana part of it now?
I went to school in Christiana. We lived in Christiana here at the supermarket. And just when I was going high school, Fontana, about that time, was opening. So I was raised in Christiana. Sacred Heart Academy. At the time, one of the best schools in Jamaica, still is, I hope, you know. So I grew up in the great town of Christiana. You know, Baron Lee is from there too.
Yes.
People from Christiana.
Yes. Very, very nice place. Very cool.
Nice, yes.
Yes. So, Campion College?
I went to Campion. I had a boarding school way back in the day, no girls. Can you imagine that? All boys school. And about 2 years at boarding school, the boarding school closed down, went to the Carteret in Mandeville.
Oh.
Another all boys then, to imagine. Can't imagine, but they didn't turn girls now, but we were deprived at the time.
Right. So tell me.
And in the 70s, this is before things were going bad, but my mother, this is what she tell me. I have 7 children. The man need to go to university. Canada had a good schooling system. So we all emigrated in 74. It was before the exodus really happened, you know, the people leaving. It was mainly, she said, that the school thing, her thoughts were for the future. So I lived in Canada.
So hold
15 years.
So the pharmacy business started in 68.
74, and my father we had to go, and my father kept going back and forth. He was the hero in the story.
Oh.
All the tough times, you had to go. You know, goods are short, foreign currency is short. So my father, Shinkyu, Bobby, they called him. His technical name is Shinkyu, but Bobby Chang, everybody called him. And my mother was in there helping, but he had to go back and forth, kept it alive. I came back to Jamaica in 89. I went to school and all that kind of stuff. Got my MBA and all that, University of Toronto. So he had to go back and forth to keep it alive, and I came back in 89.
So your mom was based permanent in Canada?
Yeah, all of us in Canada. And my father had to go back and forth. And then
How was that like? It
was tough for him. He'd tell me how the nervous times when, you know, money was hard to take out and this and that, and a lot of stress. So he is a hero of Fontana. Fontana is successful now and doing well, and my mother was there with him, but he's the one that really kept it alive during the really, stressful times. You had to go through the 70s with all the
upheaval, economically, politically.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, all that, and then so, as I said, it was basically stamina to go back and forth, courage to stay there, and intelligence of my father.
Yeah, but he would have had key people to do.
Oh yes, Fontana. I tell people all the time. We had 3 ladies there, fresh from high school in about 68, 70. Taught all the time. Mrs. Ruthlyn May Sherwood, Faye Stewart Plunkett, and was called in Forbes. They were there the whole time. And when I came back to Jamaica 89, they were there. And they would call them the Golden Girls. So that's retiring now, 50-something years later. And I remember these girls fresh out of high school. And I always tell people, intelligence is not education. They are different things. They may not have been the most highly educated, but they have a lot of intelligence, common sense, principles. And when we started expanding, they would hire all the people. And their formula, I think, was simple. They hired people who them spirit tech, like them. My mother and father trained them, They were young girls at high school, trained them in the principles, the 4 principles I tell you: service, respect, family, community. They absorbed it and then they transmitted it. So culture. I always say Fontana is a culture. For number one thing is listening and respect for people and fairness. And and as I say, they would hire people like themselves, and that's the secret of our success, I believe. It's about the character of the people. So with that, also time this year. So big up to Mrs. Sherwood, we call her. Mrs. Plunkett. Yes. And Miss Forbes.
And they retired when?
Just now.
Two
retired in January and one is retiring in June. And they've been out over 50 years.
Fontana, an interesting name. Because
there used to be a fountain at the Manchester Shopping Centre. We started, there's a fountain in front of it. And my sister Anne, this is how karma, or whatever you call it, comes together. My sister Anne was born in 1968, Fountain of Anne. She came back to Jamaica. I came back in 89. She came back 2000 with her husband, Ray Terrian. She's Anne Chang. She's the CEO now. And Fontana's had 3 stages. Basically, my father started it, held it together. I came back 89 and then built up Mandeville bigger and Mobay. And then Anne and Ray came in 2000 and started a big expansion. And Anne is the CEO now, so I guess she's born. She's born there. Fountain of Anne is her destiny.
Yes.
And they have done a fantastic job. Anne is a great CEO and the best, in my view, of course, best buyer in Jamaica, and Ray is the best operations man in Jamaica. So they have really driven the success. And remember, they grew up in Canada and left at 5. She came back here. Don't want to give her age away. But in their 30s, all right? And I think one of the things was that they have Canadian standards, first world standards.
Yes.
I was there too, but I'm half and half. So, so they kept the standards up. And we always say Fontana, first world service and atmosphere and quality with a Jamaican vitality and warmth. That's what we try.
Apart from the principles, and the fact that it's family owned, so there's a greater level of discipline and diligence as foundation laid by your parents. What it is about the Fontana brand, the Fontana product, that drives your success?
We want to treat like a family. These 3 ladies, I tell you, they're like aunts to me. I mean, that came as a young boy to them. So when I relate to them, I don't relate to them as employees. It's like they're aunts, and we have that kind of relationship, So it is a family-based business, but a family-based ethos. And I tell you, even the customers, I think especially in Monday, we call them Fontana baby. The mother will come with the baby in the belly. That baby born, she come with the baby in the belly. And then that one come. I've had like 3-4 generations. They come there with the baby in the belly. And there's that saying in Mandeville, I'm a Fontana baby. Meaning I came there in the belly at Fontana. And then my children became. So that kind of ethos is what.
What role do you play in the business now?
I'm a chairman. So I can, we have different stages. So at my stage, I'm a tire kicker, as they say. When you buy a car, you kick the tires to see if anything is wrong. I'm supposed to look for a bigger picture. If anything I see anything, or maybe some ideas and all that. But the day-to-day is my sister and her husband, Anne and Ray. I started the growth. When I came into one store, so one for another one, Mandeville, and people always come to us in Mandeville, from Mobay especially. I said, we need one like this in Montego Bay. And a space came up once. Well, again, a little Fontana story. A lady, my good friend of my parents, Faye, Aunt Faye, I forget her last name, Chinese-ish lady, and she called me one day, Brian, there's a place opening, we talked to her, a plaza, LOJ Plaza, come down and look. So we went down, it looked good, and we opened it. And her niece, Jerry, she got married, Jerry Tomlinson. She's now pharmacy manager at Fontana. So in Destiny. And I tell you another story. Mr. Blake, who built the plaza in Manchester, he had children, obviously, and one of the grandsons, Frederick Moore, he and Eddie Azan built the plaza in Montego Bay, Fairview Plaza, where we became a big store. So, you have a lot of Destiny. My sister Anne, Fontana Anne, Jerry, Aunt Faye and Jerry, and then Mr. Blake and his son Frederick. Connections. So, it's nice stories, and you see the connection. Maybe that's the greater power. Who knows?
Over the decades, yes, Fontana would have grown with Jamaica, with independent Jamaica. Started 6 years after independence. You'd have seen the turmoil of the 1970s, the migration and the return. But now stability in the economy.
Unprecedented.
But from the family business end, how were those ups and downs in the business?
Well, as I said, all families that are quarrels,
Yes.
Look up on Mr. Stewart. Anyway, but you have to manage them and understand human emotions, and that you can't, things like this said, you don't take them too seriously. So we've managed to keep tight as a family. Despite any little disagreements, we have one goal. We want Fontana to prosper. And you talk about the business, and I always say this. You ask why I commentate and write and all that. As goes Jamaica, so goes Fontana. If Jamaica goes well, our business will go well. If it doesn't go well, the business can't go well. And the Pericles of Greece, back in ancient Athens, had a famous say. You may not be interested in politics, but politics would always be interested in you. When men of intelligence or whatever don't take part in your affairs of your country, what happened is the people who have no, I won't say sense, but the ones who are less educated, they become the rulers of the country. And then that's what happens, you decline. So anybody with sense would say, I don't care about politics, I'm interested. Well, you have to live in the country. And the quality of your leaders is directly related to the quality of your life you will get. Poor leaders produce poor quality of life. Good leaders produce good quality of life. So you have to be common sense, you have to be interested in the affairs of your country if you want good for you and your children. And I tell people all the time, them say me talk and this and all that. I say, I don't care about no party, JLP or PNP. I don't belong to either. I have 3 young children. What I want is a good Jamaica for my children. My hope for Jamaica is when my children go abroad to school, as many do, they will have a Jamaica that they want to come back to. Too often I see they go abroad, Jamaica gone down the drain. No, I want to have a prosperous Jamaica, safe Jamaica, where my children will see there's an option to come back here and live here. I love my country. I think Jamaica is the greatest little country on the planet.
Right. And that informs your sense of public affairs and commitment to public life, because you could have taken the easy way out, continue to run Fontana, it's a very profitable business, and remain quiet.
Well, I'll tell you the history, how I started becoming commentating. I like business, but I love books, right? So I read a lot. And I wrote a book, me and Wayne Chen, wrote Reggae Roots, Story of Jamaican Music, all right? Need updating, stopped in 98. So I wrote this book, and then after that, in a writing, and I called the Observer and sent some things to them, they're interested in my writing, and them said yes, and I started writing columns to the Observer. And then the radio and TV people started say, okay, you're right, so come and talk and see. And the first time I think was Portia, leadership race on TV. TVJ did have me about commentating and all that. And it's the first time, and I guess people found something what I was saying and they started calling me. So it go. And I wrote for 10 years, basically full time for the Observer and the Gleaner. I wrote for the Observer and then something happened. And then I started writing for the Gleaner. So about 10 years, used to write every week. And then I started occasional columns now, After writing everything you can think of. But I still write occasional columns.
But let me ask you, Kevin, this is a very polarized society. It is a very tribal society where politics is concerned. What's been the backlash like against you personally and, I don't know, Fontana?
To the truth, not no negative. Everywhere I go, the people, a few people recognize me. They come and shake my hand and me like what you say and objective and all that. I've never had negative. People ask me that. I've never had any negative experiences. It's always people. My interpretation is that Jamaicans they're fair people, and they see me. If they don't agree with what I said, they see me contributing, trying to contribute. I remember on the camp I get Oliver Clark once. I interviewed him. He had a very potent. Always remember this. He said, in Jamaica, color is not what you look like; it's what you do. He said once when some politician get into power and call him up, yes man, when a white man time done, a black man time now. And Oliver Satin said, young man, I have contributed to my country. Nobody can doubt my contributions. It's there. In the people's eyes, I am black. You just come and they see and approve nothing yet, you're white. That's his interpretation. So if you're contributing to the country, you're black.
Yes.
If you're not sitting and contributing, you're white. And I see Jamaica's remarkable, Look at Mark Golding. This is a white man, not even a touch of anything either. Pure white man, right? In a black country. And I do vox pops all the time. And I would ask people who you rate Mark Golding out of 10, Andrew Holmes out of 10, whatever. And they'd give me the different things. Some people like Mark Golding fake patois, but not one person who brought up his color. It's astonishing. They're totally indifferent to his color, and I interpret it as they've seen he's a Jamaican. Whatever you say about Mark Golding, he's very Jamaican. You can see him love the culture. In fact, you get the impression he love to have been a singer or a DJ. Yeah. That is the real ambition in life.
Yes.
And so, obviously Jamaican. So nobody, I always tell people, it's amazing. Nobody ever concerned about the man color. Yeah. They might not like his fake patois sometimes, but nobody ever said, the white man there, not one. And these are 90% black people you're interviewing because most of black people.
But that represents a shift, an evolution, because we went through the 70s and 80s when the PNP made color, the color of Eddie Seaga's skin.
Well, as I did, I personally, this is my take, I don't think the color was Eddie Seaga's problem. It was his personality. Jamaicans don't like cantankerous politicians.
Yes.
He's very cantankerous. I don't think the color was what hurt Eddie Seaga. I think he was too cantankerous and quarrelsome and stayed on past his time. Listen, a great man. Perhaps nobody's ever contributed to Jamaica in so many different facets, because apart from the politics, the music might never have been there without Eddie Seaga.
Right.
But I feel it's just his cantankerousness. But I tell you one irony, when I was a young boy, in the 70s when Michael Manley came in, I used to cash at Fontana, people come in a black man time now. And I tell people, look at the irony. Black Hugh Shearer, he was a black man. Michael Manley is 3/4 white. And yet, Hugh Shearer gets voted out, the black man gets voted out, the white man gets voted in, with a black man time.
Yeah.
So as I said, that Oliver Clark was right. It is the perception. And to this day, people talk about Hugh Shearer as a roast bread food. Very unfair. He was the one that brought in all the national honors and all that, not Seaga. People, Seaga wanted to take credit for everything, but he did that. And Hugh Shearer grew up as a black man in the country and all that, and he was very proud of his blackness. But because propaganda and all that things, propaganda, people have him as a roast bread food. Very unfair to Hugh Shearer. Was very proud of his race.
Yeah. Kevin, when you're not commentating and writing, what do you do?
Read a lot. Books I'm writing. I love books.
What kind of books do you read?
All kinds. All kind of books. Anything you can mention, I read it. I read a lot. That's my main. Spend time with spending time with my family, my number one thing. That is come before everything else. What books I'm writing, I read a lot.
Yeah. What disappoints you now about Jamaica?
The murder rate has always been my big disappointment. I feel this could be the greatest country on the planet. We can be the greatest country on the planet. For our size, with the highest murder rate in the world. So I am ecstatic, because I tell people I'm a one-issue voter, I've always told people it's one issue I vote on keep me and my picnic safe and you have my vote. And people can say what they want. No, I came back to Jamaica 89. No prime minister I have lived under has shown as much determination to cut crime as Andrew Holness. He put the state of emergency in place, the full cohort of police, full cohort of soldiers, the technology, the massive investment. Facts are there. People can say what they want. I base my political analysis on evidence and facts. I don't belong to the PNP or the JLP. In fact, I hear them headquarters on Hope Road and Belmont Road. I've never even been in one of them. I don't know what they look like, because I'm not interested. I believe in facts and evidence.
Just one issue you decide.
Because you solve crime, you solve everything. We know the economy is poor. What's held it back? Crime. When I talked to the consultant to a brand Jamaican, I managed to talk to him. He said Jamaica's biggest negative is the perception of crime. And right now, we have unprecedented, not for 30 years, we haven't seen such low murder rate as in January to date so far. And in rural Jamaica, murders are down 55% to date. We're running at a very, the 15 per 100,000, which is the Latin American average or below in rural Jamaica. And that is taking out Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Catherine. And I'm told by the security minister and the police commissioner, we're going to get the other three under control. I interviewed Commissioner Blake twice last year. Brilliant man, brilliant. Owen Ellington's first cousin. They're born from brother and sister. When Ellington murders fell 40% under him, the best commissioner statistically ever. And Anderson was good too, and Blake is on track.
Yeah.
So I feel, you don't want to go out and money. And there's one swallow doesn't make a summer, but we are on track, I believe, to get our murders down to the Latin American average. We can talk about go further down, we'll get to the Latin American average, we feel.
Which is what? That's Latin American
about
average.
15 to 20 murders per 100,000, talking about 500-600 a year.
The reader, the businessman, the pharmacy man, the chairman of Fontana Pharmacy, Kevin O'Brien Chang, has been our mover and shaker today. Yes, we invite you to go over to our YouTube channel, our social media platforms, and of course Nationwide 90 FM Live, and you'll hear and see more from this nationwide podcast conversation with mover and with movers and shakers. Thanks for joining us.
The Conference of Choice is back. Join us April 29 to 30 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel Kingston and online for the world's only Middle Managers Leadership Conference. Hear from 30 business leaders across 4 continents. Expand your network, gain strategies, and elevate your leadership. Learn, connect, and grow with experts. Limited on-site spaces available. Register now at makeyourmarkgroup.com or call 876-978-60022. MMC 2025, a legacy of transformation and execution.
Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited are authorized distributors of international brands ABB, Omron, STC, Festo, and Thomas & Betts. They supply programmable logic controllers, photoelectric and proximity sensors, contactors and soft starters, power supplies, variable frequency drives, and much more. Visit them at 24 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston, or shop 32 Overton Plaza, 46 Union Street, Montego Bay, or visit their website cleasling.net. Cleasing Industrial Supplies for all your industrial automation and control solutions.
Trauma can impact more than just your childhood. It can shape your future. Tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast live from the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma, on April 2. Join Professor the Honorable Wendell Abel, a leading expert in psychiatry, as he explores the long-lasting effects of childhood trauma and the path to recovery. It's an important conversation you don't want to miss. So tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, April 2 for the 2025 Grace Kennedy Foundation lecture, Breaking the Cycle of Childhood Trauma. Register now at Grace Kennedy Foundation's Eventbrite page to watch the live stream. Don't miss it. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Jamaica's Spark program is investing $45 billion to improve roads, water, and telecom. Better infrastructure for a better future. The time by Spark is...
It's 7:08 and time for your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-68255.
How many times have we seen people reveal the most personal and intimate parts and places they do in the public domain? Then boops, all Dolly House mash up, and they're requesting privacy during this time. How must people be asked to respect your privacy when you haven't even shown it to yourself? How important is it for couples to be seen in the public space in order for validation and acceptance to be proof? Why do some partners insist every moment must be revealed? What is the relationship rate of success for those who are public versus private? What are the pros and cons? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic: if we're not all over social media, does that mean our relationship isn't the real deal?
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed. The Ministry of Health and Wellness. Healthy people, healthy environment. Dewars. Here's to the story. And Durex. Distributed by Massey Distribution Limited, Jamaica.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Again, good evening. We're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. O'Malley, you're on the line.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Cliff.
Sorry, it's just me for the moment.
Yes, Siobhan, I've witnessed something yesterday, yeah?
Okay, what's that?
That took place on Sunday. Just a minute. The burial of the gang leader in Spanish Town.
Okay, yes.
And I think the government need to do something to address this era's standoff. I think we need a cultural change, and the government has to see that this is something that is not right in the culture, and if we don't change it, it can continue leading to people seeking this era's send-off.
I don't think the government can play a hand in how people are buried in the Omala. I don't think that is that
the
era.
Government make legislations and laws for the good operation.
Yes, but how someone is sent off in a funeral service is decided by his family and friends. But even still, Omalo, no. How someone is sent off in terms of their final rights, that is not something the government should be involved in. Unless you're talking about the existential situations such as COVID-19, fine. But on a normal day, Omalo, no.
Let me give you just my opinion.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Based on, we can say, these people are involved in gang activities and criminal activities and stuff like that. I think the government should say, we are creating a policy or a law where these people are sent off with only family members immediate. We're not taking away your immediate family members and stuff like this. You will have an immediate family member funeral sent off.
But there is this thing called the constitutional right to freedom of association and freedom of movement. Are you going to tell me some random person who wants to attend such a funeral that he's not allowed to? Or they're not allowed to?
Constitution's rights are not absolute. government can make laws that
No, I go have a break with you on this one, Amal. As I said, it's a funeral. And at the end of the day, how that funeral is handled is a private matter. Who wants to attend such a thing, they should attend such a thing. I don't think that is something the government should be involved in. Even if I don't agree with the person and how they've behaved in life, it is not me. As in, it's not me or it is not the government's decision how their family treats with them in their passing.
It's not just the family. We are talking about a whole of supporters of the criminality that they used to carry out, and we are talking about the resources that the government of Jamaica has to put out for these funerals. It was like I'm speaking to someone, and the person was like, "Is this a state funeral?" Look at the resources the government has to put out. So are we saying that this is what we must accommodate and be normal to in Jamaica?
What did the government spend the resources on, Omalo?
On the police force.
Why was the police necessary?
The police was necessary because of who the person was.
And you're saying what about that?
And I am saying that based on this, the government, based on who these people are, say for instance a gang member, somebody involved in a gang activity, criminal dance and stuff, we should have at least something like what we used to have in COVID-19, where you get a personalized, your family only funeral, where it restricts the government from putting out these resources and giving you a hero's send-off, where it becomes a part of our culture, where a lot of younger guys see this type of activity and want to follow this trend.
I hear you. I suspect you run into some constitutional challenges there.
But we are saying, let Parliament deal with that. Because if me and you could sit and talk about the constitutional things where we don't have the knowledge of what is it that we're going to be running with. It's like putting up a black card in front of something where nobody has exalted.
No, I mean, I can think of at least two constitutional provisions that would breach. Freedom of association, freedom of assembly. You see, you can't just restrict those things on... You'd have to have an overriding reason. So COVID-19, for example, was a pandemic. There's a public health emergency, right? And in some countries, those restrictions were actually struck down. It wasn't fully tested in Jamaica's courts as to whether what happened was constitutional, but it was struck down elsewhere. So I'm saying I hear you and I understand the reasoning.
All right, just say this would be a high security reasons.
Right. So you could potentially make that argument. But I'm just saying it would.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just putting out there for the Parliament, because if we don't do cultural change, they say if we don't do cultural change and expect the society to change, we're not going to have no change at all.
Yeah. No, I understand the reasoning. I understand the reasoning. All right.
And if you look at the resources that we put in, I've never really seen, other than a SOE, where police, the resources that was at this one person's funeral that was put in. We have to.
Were the resources that were put in at the request of the people putting on the funeral, or did the police put that on their own recognizance, considering, as you said, the security threat?
Based on the security, the national security.
Okay. I think that answers your question there, Omalo.
So, but would restricting the attendance at the funeral remove the security risk, you think?
Very much so. Because then you would have a much private, family-orientated, your mother, father, kids and stuff like this, where those big, large crowds and all of these things don't give the police the risk to be out there, to be controlling these people.
All right, Omalo, hear you. Thanks for the call.
I don't know if I can support that one. That's a little extreme.
Carl, good evening.
Carl, good evening.
Evening, Siobhan. Evening, Ricardo.
Good evening.
A young guy used to call you from down in a Clarendon here. Saying him young comrade, saying I do farming. Other day, I not hear him. None at all. Like, he not get no credit from 89 Old Hope Road. Like, he not a credit. Because he was one of them who was talking about a foolishness. Our country is in a recession, and seems like he was very happy to know that the country would be in recession. I mean, they tell him one night, if the country in a recession and he might do you in big farming, then he won't get no price fee farm. So what he means farming. So now that with economy going at this quarter now, I wonder what him and Golding will have to say about that. Because what the young comrade and Golding and Julian Robinson too, in the 18 years, 18 and a half years plus 4 make 22 and a half years. The only time PMP did ever grow Jamaica economy is what then they get from Eddie Seago, the Jamaica Labour Party. Till in 1992, till Dr. Omar Davis came. And you can go and research all of what I'm saying. And for here, say, things like Golding and Julian, the two British citizens. Both of them, both Julian and Imba, both of them are British people. If you hear them, did a jump up and down now, and if you see this year quarter, you start to go by 0.1%, Julian. It shows you that we have leadership. It shows you that we are the Jamaica Labour Party under Andrew Holness is doing something that is good for our country. Then get up, attack foolishness. What them are going to do? Them will bring up threshold to $3,000. And when people ask you, you laugh on television like a tech Jamaica people for idiot. Anyhow, Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
You did break off in the last year and never asked me again what is my achievement.
No, I never break off. You decided that you were going to go back to this PMP bashing streak, so I just allow you know. I don't bother to.
No, but sometimes, Ricardo, man, it is out there and Ricardo, you remember say blood run through in Ricardo?
No, I know that, Carl. I know.
You remember say blood run through we. And you know me now go by the Licky White man tonight. Me just go deal with some positive.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Daz this evening. And what Daz never tried to remember is that not PMP government ever built a hospital in Jamaica. Go and research that, Daz. Check that for yourself, Daz. None. So even the 18 and a half years plus 4 years, 22 and a half years, Daz. If you know did start a hospital in a one of that year, then it'd have finished within the 22 years. So coming now, Daz, to complain about Cornwall Regional and a public hospital, all of those things, nothing could have done to them, Daz. When PMP did in a power, nothing. You used to hear say no bed, no in a hit, no ambulance, no did it. No one at time all water, no did it, and name all of the things them does. And the only reason why this government does can't be doing anything concerning all of those things does is because the debt where Omar Davis, you as a PMP does, and PJ Patterson administration, it left us into, and we take it down to 68% now, does. So it free up a lot of money, does. And that's why all of what you see is doing now, does, can be done. You don't have to put a scandal bag around your waist now, does. You can get an apron.
Thank you for the call,
all right,
Carl.
Have a good evening.
Cleveland, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Ricardo.
Hey.
Come on.
Good evening, Carl. Oh, sorry, Cleveland. Good evening. How you doing?
Not bad. The campaign really start for true?
Yes, man.
Officially?
In the final stretch?
Unofficial?
Unofficially.
Oh,
so
boy.
You need a declaration before it's
yeah,
official.
but I noticed the JLP come with a new thing, man.
What's that?
I'm paying for their...
Oh, yes, to put their message out. Yes. They're doing a lot more of that.
Which
yes.
I think is good.
Yeah, you think it's effective?
People, yes, man.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, man. And I come to the station where everybody listen to. All the sensible people listen. You know?
Yes.
But all of a sudden now, Mr. Bunting and his leader is seeing the importance, seeing the work, the good work that the government and the security forces is doing in Jamaica now.
You know, Cleveland, I read that statement about 4 times last night.
But you'd have to.
It takes some amount of audacity and gall to write that statement. You know, I don't know. Maybe I couldn't be a politician because sometimes my conscience is bother me. Because that kind of statement, remarkable.
May I tell you so? All of a sudden, first time they weren't saying nothing good because they don't believe nothing report the police come with. And they never see the government doing nothing that is good. The amount of money where government spend to put this police force in good order to manage the system.
Yeah.
And
this idea,
never congratulate the police.
This idea that it was because of what?
They finally listened. You finally listened to us.
And ordinary policing powers under the JCF Act. I don't know. It takes some amount of hoopla.
And Mr. Bunting, a foul person, still he can't get over where he failed ministry at the time when he was there, you know. I know he can't get over it. He's still saying that if the government did follow this and if the government did do that, it would be better off today and there. And member says, just like last week or the week before, they were criticizing the police and the government. I don't understand them.
And I guarantee you, and let me say God forbid because we don't want this to happen, but I guarantee you if the numbers start going in the opposite direction, you're going to hear that Dr. Chang is the worst thing since.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's unfortunate. Sure. It's really unfortunate that that's where we are.
It's unfortunate, so.
I expect that my countrymen, my fellow Jamaicans, are smart enough to see through that.
You can have people planning to take over the running of the country, and they criticize the police people them so much. And if they should, God forbid, if they should win the election and come no one, what they're going to tell us? How we are to support the police when themselves were discouraging people from supporting the police.
All right, Cleveland. Delroy, good evening.
Hi, Stefan. Good night. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right.
Ricardo.
Yeah. Ricardo and Siobhan. Siobhan, remember, good night. You remember I asked you to put in an appeal for me about this water thing in Petersville, Westmoreland?
Yes, I looked into that matter, and I was told that it's being worked on, and that I should follow up this week. So thank you for reminding me. So I'm going to follow up again.
Please, I depend on you tomorrow, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I hear Clifford was talking about Peter Bunting and that national security. I think Peter Bunting really have a heart, because when he come out now, and talking about 2,000 people, life could be spared. He forget that when Andrew called for the state emergency and want them to help, he was one shot abstain from vote when they have to close it down and things like that.
Yes, Mr. Bunting was quite adamant that he would not support any extensions.
So when he really come out today and talking about that, he tried to make up, but I don't think that's going to help him right now. I don't think that's going to help him right now. That's waste of time. But my real problem right now, man, is the water thing. It's the water thing that Petersville that I call about, because as I was saying that these people drill and find water from October last year, and up until now, we can't get no water. Every we are getting water straight, and we can't get none there. So that's my real problem.
Thank you for reminding me. As I said, I'll follow up on it again. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you very much. Please.
Errol, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo and Siobhan.
Evening, Errol. How you do?
Good, Let me answer Ricardo and Siobhan. Where the Dr. Nagorun and I say, Iman, what do I want to name? I say, recession, I come. When we can't see no recession still, you understand? And today the finance minister said right now the country bounce back right now. You hear that today?
Yes, man.
All right. When we want to understand, I just told the question me asked you. When we want to understand with Mark Gold, with the little sick man there, where they hear them drop the PJ and say, I put the record straight. Him can't even walk. When I miss them with KD night, I walk, him have a push pan and Bobby Pickers gear. When I need to look all the time, man, they make them say they yard and rest record and Chevron. Why them have to bring them out and pressure them? Tell me.
I wish I had an answer to that question.
You never say Pickers gear and KD night on the stage.
Yeah, I saw some video clips. I did.
The man in car, the man in the chair in the yard and relax, and the man in my joke, the little old man in the car and walk and kill him off. Suppose I think they go on this nowhere. People have to run up and down. Stampede. Then them two little old man, they dead, brother.
Go on, Errol, we're listening to you.
Yeah, no, I don't them two little argument we have with the night still, I want answer from you.
No, we can't give you the answer. We don't know. We don't make decisions, PNP political strategy decisions, so we couldn't give you those answers.
All right, my boss. Get somebody else up there.
All right, Errol. David, good evening.
Good evening, Rickard and Chevron. How are you doing?
Doing all right.
All right.
Yeah, just a bit of history recap. Was there a political party leader in Jamaica that referred to Marcus Garvey as a national disgrace?
Yes, I vaguely recall reading. I think it was Norman Manley.
I believe that was when it was still the legislator.
Right.
Okay. And
they were political rivals at the time, yes.
Okay, and it is the same party now parading as if they uphold the qualities for black people. And another one, this is a fact now. Isn't incest a crime in Jamaica?
David.
Yes.
No, David, you've brought this up before. You've brought this up before, and I don't know what the utility of this conversation is. So let's go to the next topic.
No, I'm saying
you're going to ask me about the relationship between Norman and Edna Manley.
Okay, so
because you brought it up before, yes, and I believe they were cousins, second cousins.
Yeah, right.
But you also, but you should also recall. You should also recall that that kind of thing was also influenced by time period. So, for example, Queen Elizabeth was the cousin of Prince Philip.
Okay.
There's a time factor. I do have a better answer to you as to why it happened. I don't know why it happened.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm just pointing that out to establish that in Jamaica you have a two-tier justice system. One, when crime is committed by
hold on, because I think incest is illegal to a certain degree. And I stand to be corrected. As I said, I don't want to have this discussion until I'm fully apprised of it, but I think it's to a certain degree. So, for example, second, third, fourth might not be legal, but first might be legal. I stand to be corrected on that, but that is my vague understanding.
You're accurate. I don't know to what degree, but you are accurate.
Yeah, I think it's to some degree, right? So yeah.
I'm still baffled by the fact that with a crime like that has been committed.
You keep calling it a crime. I'm saying clearly it was lawful.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So that is why it was okay to give the person the highest honor in the land.
He didn't get the highest honor in the land because he was married to Edna Manley. David, the link that you're trying to make is insane.
Where are we going with this discussion?
The link is not insane. If if you've committed a crime, you've committed a crime.
You keep repeating that, and I'm saying to you, it was clearly lawful, and I just explained to you that to a certain degree, it is not prescribed by law.
Okay.
Clearly, the marriage was lawful. They were married for many, many years. And there was never a legal question about their marriage.
All right. And the next thing, guys, the next thing is what I realize in this country is that one party is hammered for the simplest of intransigence, and the other party gets away with murder all the while. That is my take for tonight.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Chris, good evening.
Evening, Ricardo. Evening, Siobhan.
Evening, sir.
I just wanted to weigh in on a comment I heard yesterday on
Chris,
your evening. Yes.
Before you go on, are you the chairman of the board of St. James High?
Ricardo?
Yeah.
If I am?
Yes. Are you the chairman of the board of St. James High?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Continue.
Yes. There's a commentary program that you brought on yesterday. One of your regular programs. It's Watchman.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that comment that was made by Dr. Hedley Morgan.
Yes.
Where he refers to the Prime Minister as short in terms of
in short pants. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was really unbecoming.
Yes,
and
I agree with you.
What is so funny is that persons like those, and it's thinking like what he's positing there, that really caused us to fall into the crosshairs of the United States back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you start to put your own personal belief ahead of the country's belief. In the 1970s, Ricardo and Siobhan, I don't know if any Jamaican had weighed in and told Michael Manley that Jamaica wanted to become democratic socialist. I think that move was something to soothe Michael's own personal agenda. And what Dr. Henry Morgan said yesterday in his commentary is tantamount to us going back to the 70s, where personal ideological belief trump country. And that is some of the things that we have to start to, move away from. We have to make decisions that is in the best interest of Jamaica and not just in the best interest of a political party or an individual. I don't know if I would live to see another Prime Minister who has taken on such a diplomatic and positioned Jamaica in such a way that we are respected. I don't know what would happen had it been the other party that was running Jamaica at this time. How would we be positioned? Because we had the same opportunity back in the 70s, guys. And instead of positioning Jamaica in a way that is beneficial to the masses, we position the country for personal gain. And we saw what happened. We lost an entire generation between 72 and 1980. And, I don't know if Dr. Henry Morgan will take some time to look back at that commentary and adjust that, because I think Jamaica did exceptionally well in terms of our diplomatic approach to what is happening now. The position with China and the United States is almost equivalent to what existed back in the 70s between the USSR and the US. And what Michael did then was to pivot to the Russians and stick it to the United States. Cost us what it did. I think we learned from those mistakes, and our position now is a respected one. What if Jamaica were to run out the ball, run out the wicket, and tell people that U.S. can take them visa and all that stuff, take the position that people like Ralph Gonsalves took, or the Bajan Prime Minister? I think the gentleman needs to really take a look
But
back at that tape.
But you notice, though, Chris, and not to interrupt you, though, that the People's National Party has been more or less very quiet about this matter and the Cuban situation and the visa restrictions.
Well, they're quiet because I think they're reading the room. And if they're quiet because they have learned from their past mistake, that is commendable. And I agree with you, Siobhan. I think they're rather quiet on an issue that usually the PNP would have been front and center where that is concerned. Back in the 70s, they lead the charge. And on other issues during the 90s, the PNP led the charge as it relates to defending the Cubans. And we don't have an issue with the Cuban government or the Cuban people. But, we have to be smart about how we do our politics. I noticed on the political campaign, folks, the political silly season is on us now. And not just the silly season, but we are close to a general election. And I realized that the campaigns are on. And I happened to scroll through social media and I saw a PNP meeting a couple of days ago. And gentlemen, I don't know how you read it, but it is shameful to watch. And I'm not saying that persons who are, elder statesmen ought not to be a part of the political process. But for political reasons, one would have to explain to me what sort of political mileage is the PNP expecting to get when you bring people on stage who just physically not able to even climb on a staircase. What sort of optics, what sort of political mileage is the PNP expecting to get when they bring on Chairman for Life and KD9?
But didn't the JLP bring on Mr. Siaga? I can think of, for example, 2016, when he was fairly frail. Didn't that happen?
Mr. Siaga walked on the stage.
Oh, it's because you could walk on. Okay, all right.
Yeah, he was walking. He was really up in age, but he was walking.
Oh, so it's a problem of them having to be assisted. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, Siobhan and Ricardo. It's not a good look. And I think this is every time I see these things happen, it begs to question the judgment of the leader of the opposition, because this now comes down to poor political judgment. Because absolutely, I could never be the leader of a political party and allow anybody to do that. I'm not saying that these guys don't have anything at all to offer. I'm not saying that they don't have people who they might appeal to. But there's a way to do it. Put them in a vehicle and drive them around. Put them in an open top vehicle and drive them around in a community. Let them meet and greet people. But to have them wheel onto a stage with a walker, that's just abuse. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. For political gain? Come on now, man. I think the PNP needs to get their act together. We want a strong opposition in Jamaica, because a strong opposition will hold the government to account. But when you make moves like these, all you're doing is weakening the opposition to the extent that it becomes really there won't be any competition at the next election at the rate that they're going. This is not good look.
All
but
right,
have a good evening, guys.
You
I
too.
think I need to fix it.
Have a good evening, sir.
Thanks for the call. Bobby, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Ricardo.
Evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Yesterday I came in late, but I catch up part of the Watchman. And, oh boy, I have to shake my head because I have a lot of respect for Dr. Hedley Morgan, and for the life of me, I cannot come to terms why he really put the Prime Minister of the country in that sort of light. I want to ask a question. Before the Watchman come on in the evening, is Cliff or anyone from Nationwide review his comments first before it come out on the air?
Ricardo might be a better place to answer that.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, but I think Nationwide should start doing things like this because, sometimes these people, not because he's doctor, he might come out and said something and put the station into a bind, And
yeah, but I don't think he has ever said anything that's defamatory or that would cross a legal line that would get into quote unquote trouble. I mean, you can say that you disagree with his opinion, but he has the right to that opinion, and you have the right to call and tell us why you disagree.
Right, And, the other point I need to touch is I really commend the Prime Minister to take a very diplomatic approach, in representing Jamaica at the time on the international scene when the Secretary of State come here. No matter what anyone in CARICOM or so on want to say, if they want to dislike what the Prime Minister did or so on, but look here, the Prime Minister has to do something for his country and also the region, right? And to be honest, I don't see anything wrong what he has done. And finally, I was looking at a clip today on social media about our opposition campaign the other day, where two elder statesmen who supposed to be at home, then we help one of them going up on the platform and the other one in a walker. Well, Mark, I know one of the reasons why KD Knight is there. He want to come there to show support behind his daughter because the lady who is running against Hillary Chuck is KD Knight's daughter, right? So I agree that he want to come and show his support behind her. But you tell me, man, those men, their time is over, right? And when you see an opposition do something like that, it tells us one thing, that we doesn't have a viable opposition, and we are wondering if this opposition is trying to clutch after straw, right? So I think that is very unseen of them, Okay, then I would like to give somebody else a chance.
All right, Bobby, have a good one. Before I go to the next caller, Siobhan, I wonder sometimes if journalism in this country might be failing Jamaicans, or Jamaicans are just not reading enough. There's an active conversation online about whether the finance minister, what she said in the parliament this afternoon, was a lie. Here's why. Other news outlets have reported that the economy declined by 0.8%.
Yeah.
Those who saw that headline have taken that to mean... No, I don't laugh, Shaman. It is so
I suppose I'm acting from a very privileged position.
It is so serious. I am worried. I don't know how our country will continue when there are so many people just deep in ignorance, and they don't try to educate themselves. And then
let us do that, John Ricardo.
Yeah? I'm going to allow you to. I'm going to allow you, but I have made the point. And then, from their place of ignorance, they disparage, attack, and tear down people. If you see the nasty, vile things that are being said, and the people making the comments are the actual dunces. Go ahead and clarify what happened, Siobhan.
For those who don't understand, we operate in a quarter-by-quarter system, and what normally happens is the information you receive from Statin is a few quarters out of date, so to speak. But before we get the final results from Statin, what normally happens, we get a estimate from the Planning Institute of Jamaica, which is fairly accurate. And I believe a few months ago, we did receive that estimate from the Planning Institute of Jamaica for the fourth quarter of 2024, which was for a contraction of 1.8%. Now, Statin has this month given us the actual the actual outturn for that quarter, which is actually 0.8%. So in some ways, it's not the current quarter that we're in, that being January to March. It is referring to the previous quarter of 2024. So the minister, what he said is that the PIOJ has now given us an estimate for the quarter we're currently in, which is for 0.1 to 1% growth. It is now for Statin, who will come out later and give us their actual understanding as to how this quarter turned out.
So and I'll be charitable, for those in the comments who, from whether it be a colored place or just an ignorant place, and you sit there and you throw attacks at Nationwide and what Nationwide has reported, educate yourself. Because ultimately, you're the one that looks dunce. Yeah, educate yourself. And the sad thing about it is that the thing is there to read, It's there to read. Mr. Portmore, hello.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Why are they hold on for so long? I'll get cut off,
All right.
And I have to call back.
All right, let's use the time wisely now. What's on your mind?
All right. I've been sitting down and I've been listening to Nationwide. And I've been listening to people calling. Mm-hmm. And I've been, trying to put two and two together.
Mm-hmm.
And I am disappointed with Jamaica,
Oh, yeah? Why?
We make bad decisions. And sometimes when we make the decisions, we don't quarrel with ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
We just hug it up.
Mm-hmm.
And allow the bad decisions to take its course.
Okay,
and
what are you referring to now?
Well, when I speak to people, especially comrades, they tell you that Michael, they give them this, and Michael, they give them that. And them is a comrade because of where them get and so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they sit down and realize and recognize what is really happening in the country. And the country must come first so that their kids, their relatives, and Jamaica can breathe a sigh of relief so that positive things can happen for Jamaica. It's all about Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you something why I'm so upset. I don't know if you remember when Gilbert passed through Jamaica.
I was 2 months old.
All right. Mr. Seaga was the Prime Minister at the time. And we recovered in a jiffy. Not when I say a jiffy, I don't mean like a month. Maybe 3-4 months or so, but we recovered. And the dollar was stable. I think the dollar was something like $4.50 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. You understand? And the country was looking very well. And the people of Jamaica, the election was called, and the people voted out Eddie Seaga.
Mm-hmm. That was 1989.
And when they brought in PJ, the dollar started to run. Now, if Jamaica did not vote out Seaga, there would be no FinSAC because there wouldn't be any need for a FinSAC to come and destroy this country. And see it, we have another election coming up later down this year. And I am afraid that we might vote in Marky G and the same thing happen again. It is. Let me tell you something, A lot of people will not remember this because we tend to forget things easily. But a lot of Jamaicans suffered under FinSAC, And I'm hoping and praying that we do not carry Jamaica back down that road. These people come and they tell you all kind of things. They tell it's a whole. Let me tell you something, They try to cut the throat of the Prime Minister or the leader of the JLP all the time. That is the PNP's actions at all time. They try to take out the leader of the party so that without the leader, then the party would be weak.
You mean over the years?
Yes, over the years.
Yeah, well,
they have
yes.
They have been trying it with Andrew, and they have been lying left, right, and center.
Can you imagine even Mark Golding saying that he wasn't a part of FinSAC? You remember where this man here, this Christian man, who was a part of their setup?
Ronald Thwaites.
Ronald Thwaites.
Ronald Thwaites. And you heard what he said? The money from the poor.
The greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in Jamaica's history. Or something to that effect.
Yes, that's what he said.
Let me tell you this, we better sit down and put Jamaica first. Andrew Holness is doing what no other prime minister, I don't say other prime minister never try enough. But what he has achieved since his inception as prime minister for Jamaica, if we ever make the mistake again, we don't need to go back down there, sir. We don't need to go back down there. We know what the Jamaica Labour Party is capable of. We don't know what the PNP is capable of. And common sense can tell you, if they're going to lie to you, then don't expect anything. If they're going to lie to you, which they are doing, don't expect anything. We must continue this path of prosperity. Make Jamaica breathe, so that we can be a better Jamaica in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Cannot go back down that part with the PNP. Can't.
All right, Mr. Portmore, hear you.
And for some Jamaicans to understand why people refer to FinSAC in such a way, let's compare it to COVID-19. COVID-19 added about 14, 15 points to the debt. FinSAC added 40. And I want to put one of the greatest economic disasters in the country's history, COVID-19, only added about 15 points to the country's debt. FinSAC added 40.
A massive, massive crisis. Anthony?
Hey, Ricardo Chapman, how are you?
Evening, Anthony.
I'm good. Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
Why, I know you always negotiate with Cliff for a raise up here, and I think I'm bored with you now. Because that quick call out yesterday of what the Mr. Morgan said in his commentary was top class, and I really have to congratulate you, brother, on picking that up so quickly, because it was just out of place. But Ricardo, I listened to Mr. Morgan for most evenings. I listened to his commentary, and I don't know if you listen or whatever, but have you ever heard Dr. Henry Morgan has anything kind to say about the governing party or its leader or anything? Have you ever heard?
You know, Anthony, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I generally don't listen to the segment. I think last night I don't know, I just happened to have my earphone on, because usually I take it off. So I happened to have it on, so I heard. Right? So I don't generally listen. So I couldn't comment on it, broadly speaking. So to the point that Siobhan teases me that is my favorite segment.
You have to bring that up. You have to bring that up.
Yeah, you do. You should say that.
I listen, and I have never, and I also have an idea. Why?
Yes.
Because Mr. Morgan, non-profit or whatever, is based in Trenchtown, in the opposition leader's constituency. And to me, and I said that I have an idea, so this is my opinion now. I think that Mr. Morgan show where his leaning is, which is right, but at least, man, if you're going to come and say something like that this year, Ricardo, when I heard the Trump administration thing on Cuba and stuff, and I said to myself that I am happy that Andrew Holness is the Prime Minister right now of Jamaica, because this is where leadership is going to be shown and stuff. And I think, and let's face it, and I will brag on this. Mr. Rubio or Trump or whatever did not summon the Prime Minister to Washington. You know what they did? They came to Jamaica to meet with the Prime Minister. To me, that is respect. Because they leave their country to come here to meet with our Prime Minister. All right? And they talk about stuff. And at the end of the day, well, let's be fair. We came out a winner. Because Mr. Rubio declared that based on conversation, he thought that Jamaica's arrangement was different from what they were hearing in terms of other contractual arrangements with the Cuban medical person and stuff. So they were willing now to go back and relook. Now, if Andrew Holness get up at the announcement and said, wait, I'm willing to give up my visa and rare and all of them things, that could not foster an environment for a proper conversation. It would not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Anthony,
the Prime Minister shows leadership.
Right.
He did show leadership, and respect was given to him.
Appreciate the call, Anthony. Out of time. I see a comment from somebody calling himself Iron Lady. I was going to read the first line. FinSAC was good for Jamaica. I think, Bugs, that might be grounds for blocking whoever that is. That alone should probably be grounds. That's all the time we have. Sonia Stewart, thank you so much for your time. Andrew Glenn Anderson, thank you, sir. Our colleagues in the newsroom, the best in the business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening.
Trauma can impact more than just your childhood. It can shape your future. Tune in to Nationwide at 5 from 6 to 8 p.m.